Anyway, hello, everybody. My name, of course, is Elma Hexway, your head guildmaster and chief barista, and welcome again to another episode of Finding Out Friday. Yeah. Today is special guest. We have my friend here, Takodachi. Hello. Ow! Is that for me being late? Hold on. I'm gonna put him on my shoulder. He deserves to be on my shoulder. Give me a second. Yeah, there we go. You know, I hope everyone's been enjoying the release of Splatoon 3. I've been playing it this entire day. Putty and Taco on my shoulder. Fantastic. Of course, today, again, is our Finding Out Friday, our day where we explore, and investigate, learn through some silly videos, and hopefully let's get that started soon. Not to, keep dragging on, because we are maybe a little bit behind schedule. It's like an hour. Hold on. All right. I need to actually add a... Give me a sec. Capture widget. You're buckled as usual? Absolutely. Buckle in. It's going to be a messy one? I don't know the word. Wondering where you are. Yeah, so Papa Hexblade actually came to visit. He hasn't been here in a while. He hasn't been here in a while, and today's his first day back over here. So we just wanted to say hi to him, and he's staying over. So that's kind of why the stream was a little bit late. I intended to start at 8:30, but he wanted to have a chat and talk, and he was looking at the fish tanks around the guild house, and was very impressed. He just asked a lot of questions, but he was very enthused. Okay, so first video is from LGR, and it's about a man. Do you guys remember a 5 1/4 PC drive bays? They're big. Also, yes, it's okay if you need to unbuckle and leave for my time being, but thank you. Anyway, let's get this started. So, PC drive-based speakers and subwoofer from the night. Like, remember when 5 1/4 inch drive bays had like the wild features to them? Like they could do anything. This is kind of one of those types of things, you know? I'm gonna make him like a little. I'm gonna make. Yeah, He's gonna be my honorary pin for today. It says it's a pin that says I played Splatoon. Okay. Greetings.
And welcome to an LGR thing that I hope is a little bit simpler, as I'm away this week, so I needed something to cover that wasn't too involved.
Nostalgic.
And
Absolutely.
why not go back to one of my old favorites, 5 1/4 inch drive bay add-on devices. I'm a sucker for these things from the mid to late 90s, early 2000s in some cases. Whether it's a set of visual graphic equalizer stuff, VU meters, volume controls, inputs, outputs, even cigarette lighters and ashtray/cup holders, or in the case of today's thing, speakers. And not just speakers, but a subwoofer.
Oh, those look like trash.
Left and right speakers.
Oh, those look like trash. Yo. I hope he blows those things out like a Dankpod style.
They're not from the same company. In fact, I don't even know much about them, really, except that they were donated some time ago, and I just haven't taken a look at them yet. I haven't had much of a reason to, or a case to do so. Well, I dug out a computer case out of storage. I'm like, oh yeah, this will be kind of ideal, I think, and hopefully it'll be entertaining while I'm elsewhere doing other things this week. So yeah.
Ew, Molex. I know, right?
Goofiness.
Molex connector's more like
Alright, so the concept...
fire hazard. Haha. Got him. I did it. I did a funny.
Of a sort in a 5 1/4 inch drive.
Oh my god, the packaging's even more trash.
Inside your computer and thread.
Wait, did that say is 100? Hold the hell up. 100. What's this mod? 180 watts? That isn't gonna pump through 180 watts.
Sort.
It's gonna pop out like 1.8.
Drive bay configuration, and you just stick that inside your computer.
Easyconnections.com.
for audio connections.
I'm a little concerned. I feel like that name has been taken.
Of
That
your computer and plug
Oh,
it into the sound card and
no.
just pass everything through one to the other.
Oh, it's a mess.
And that's that. It turns your computer into the speaker system. Yeah. I mean, it's not a ridiculous concept. There were tons of computers that came pre-configured that way. HP.
This looks like hell. What is this? I meant this would be jank, but no. Look at this. Look at these installation steps. Like, what? Why is it in this, like, Monopoly game board style format? What is this?
He did it. Compaq did it, I think, at some point. I know several Apple computers did it. E-machines. You just have computers with built-in speakers, inside the case itself. But in terms of adding it to the case, I've had very mixed results in the past.
It looks like it's gonna catch on fire.
The sound is just terrible. The speakers are so
It looks so whack.
tiny and just distorted and crappy sounding that it really wasn't worth using. And of course, with those other kinds of devices.
This is what the early 2000s custom PC scene was like, man. Like, this is what the hot rodding was like. Oh.
That I've taken a look at before. They did have some cool displays to look at as well, so it wasn't a complete loss, I guess, even though those were mostly useless too. But wow, this is really cheap in many, many respects.
Cool is incredibly is such an arguable in this.
3.5 mil inputs right there. We've got 4-pin Molex for power. That's pretty much it. A couple of teeny little speakers in there somewhere. Volume control for left and right channels, headphones output, microphone input over here, a channel button. I had to look in a manual to see what in the heck that was about.
Channel
Apparently
button?
It's for switching between different inputs.
Did it just bend? Wait, it bent? What? Hold on, what?
Between different inputs.
I need to...
What the heck that was about?
Did he... Hold on, I need to see
Channel
this.
Button.
I need to go back.
Somewhere.
If you...
Volume control.
What's up, Lizzie's Dead? Let's go, everybody. Happy
input over here, a channel button.
celebration of a terrible person
Manual to see what the
perishing.
heck that was about.
I can't say the right words, but you know the words.
Inputs like mic and CD input and other things you might have plugged into your sound card, and then you have the amp on and off here.
As an Irish Canadian, I'm pleased about this. You have every right to be pleased.
If you're using the line level or speaker output of your sound card, you might not want to
Lizzie's in a box.
amplification. So anyway, it's a useful set of stuff here. But in terms of
when he pushed on the top, oh, that thing's oh no, it's probably hollow on the inside.
I mean, these are going to be teeny tiny little things, and you got to.
This is going to be bad
after all. But hey, maybe it'll be slightly better than the ones I've covered before, even though all the.
I am very excited about how bad it's going to be.
Very much all the problems that I've had before. Basically, oh, you got bad sound. Too high, too low. Oh, that's going to be a problem. So I'm not expecting great things here, but at least like a step above others that I've tested that do.
I have no expectations whatsoever.
Focused on sound, it'll do better.
I hope it's
the one that I really have almost hope for is this thing right here. I mean, the fact that it's called a subwoofer. I've never seen another thing quite like.
I'm gonna look up that website because it keeps bothering me. I'm gonna put it in another window too, just in case it's not safe for work. easy-connections.com. Oh, good. The site doesn't exist. Don't go to it. Good. It has been dealt with.
This I've seen multiple speakers that go into drive bays. Okay, but never a subwoofer, and I just don't know how this is supposed to be much different at all. I mean, well, we do at least have a much larger speaker there.
Oh, you could see the speaker.
You know, a few inches across at least. So there's that.
I just realized something actually terrible about this device. Hey, don't hard drives not like it when you put things that vibrate next to them? Don't they degrade in performance if you do that? Yes. Yeah, so imagine putting this above... I bet putting this, like, right above where your hard drive is. And it's just being blasted with tunes. It's just, like, it feels like you're setting up for failure. It's so good. Yeah, head crash time.
Kind of a
You get the cool head crash sounds.
What? What is this?
What? Oh, what the? Whoa, what?
Is that a bug or a feature? Maybe it's supposed to, like I want it pointed more at me this way or that way, or this is just broken. I don't exactly know the documentation with this one, unfortunately, but you just plug it in, right? See,
I hope it works, and I need to know.
But once again, a bit of a volume control, an LED knob. I don't know if that's for peaking or what. Again, don't have any documentation, and it doesn't say on there. And this is extremely simple too. You know, we got power. Molex, the splitter is already connected, so that's cool. And then, yeah, just 3.5mm stereo, which will connect somewhere, either to this thing's bracket or to the sound card, or I'll just use an adapter or something to plug it all together. I don't know. And we also do have this for the subwoofer, so it's literally just an empty hole. With,
just
little mounting screws there for I don't know what, because it doesn't come with anything other than this. So I guess you're just supposed to, you know, string this.
You just thread it through,
and then go through there to
amazing
your sound card. But again, it has these mounting holes, as if there was supposed to be another bracket to make this a little tidier or something. But there's
what a good solution to a problem that people definitely have.
Need to do here. Although I'm kind of curious just to open this up and see what they did inside for each of them. Unfortunately, this one doesn't seem to have a way to unscrew it to get inside. It's just all like plastic that's crammed together. These don't go anywhere. I might be able to pry it.
I need to know what's...
At least try it first. Breakage seems...
So what are we looking at right now? We are currently looking at a... Well, we'll find out.
All right.
It is a speaker and subwoofer. Woofer? For, a PC.
Got this machine.
And we're gonna watch it install because I want to see how bad this is.
I think I did an LG.
I'm just very curious, you know.
There's also something that was used for that 5 1/4.
Oh, yo, it had a Pentium 2 on it.
Took up all these bays. But yeah, at the moment, it's just a neat Pentium 2 machine with Windows, I think 98 on here. Just a standard.
Can I make a video request? Of course.
Blaster 128 or something. All right. Yeah, that looks like a Sound Blaster Live. Not that it matters too much. Let's just go ahead and get these front plates out of here.
I don't have like a submission thing other than the Discord. If you want to post it, yeah, okay, there we go.
Image in the
I will save that and we will get to it at the end
of the device.
Thank you.
They are labeled on the thing there, but very vaguely. CH1, CH2, and mic. And these, they're not labeled like that.
I know this video.
Mic, but that says audio in, and that says radio out, radio in, and antenna. Clearly meant for another device. They just reused the bracket. All right, so green we're gonna put on CH1, channel 1. A mic is gonna be the black wire.
Oh, this thing had mic support?
And then white.
It's one of his best ones.
Auxiliary.
Understandable.
You want to plug in.
I will watch. We will watch a German video. I don't mind.
So you can switch between channels 1 and 2 right there. Apparently, you're supposed to. The idea is that you use it with this Win Radio FM thing that they also sold. Sound Minds technology.
So you get like a
subwoofer, of course. So where are we going to plug this in? We need another input. So while I could plug the sub in here, that would only go for one, the speaker or the sub. That might be good for comparison, but for now, I'm going to use one of these splitter cables. So this is going to go to the.
Oh, that's more high quality than the actual cards.
Split, so we can go to both the sub and the.
Oh, here we go, though.
String all that nonsense through there and just jam this in place. It's a tight fit. But this drive bay is a little bent up from when I had that 5 1/4 inch CRT in here. That thing was just, it was like slightly off. And our sub.
Does this count as 2.1 surround? Like this would be a 2.1 sound system, right?
get power taken care of. We got a rail
The
here.
worst 2.1 sound system ever.
Use the subwoofer's splitter and then use the other side of that to plug into the twin sound if it'll reach.
Oh,
Oh yeah, it reaches perfect.
yeah. This is probably
meant for each other.
the worst possible setup.
We'll put the
I mean, I have stereo speakers, so who knows? This might be better than my setup.
on through.
I highly doubt it, but
This
you know.
go right beneath that. Yeah. 90s cable management real quick. Jam that over there. And then our splitter, other end goes to the output of the sound card. And that's it.
It's so neat.
Yeah, so output of the sound card being split, going to both the sub and the twin speaker thingy, whatever the heck what is this thing called? Twin sound. And yeah, that is it. We have pass-throughs for headphones and microphone, a headphone out for the subwoofer as well. Dude, yeah. We are ready to go with this ridiculous setup. I am oddly excited to do this, so let's do this. Try it out with some music and games.
I need to hear it just destroy itself.
Oh yeah, all set up, ready to go. We're saving so much space by not having to have speakers.
Space saving.
Anyway, let's hear how it sounds, if we get anything.
Ooh.
Oh, that was a pop.
Uh-oh. Ah. That was okay.
Now, what do you know? That did not sound half bad. Well, yeah, let's move to another position and get to testing some stuff.
Oh.
There's a bit of ping from the ding there, but overall, it's not bad, really. Certainly significantly better sounding just right off the bat than like the Thermaltake Circle Fire was. Much less distortion, at least, you know, from the Windows startup sound and the sound effects there. Let's just get a classic going.
Oh yeah, the classic. Yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
Woo! Yeah.
I think this
It's like a
sounds better
party.
than the sub.
It's a party now when the Canyon.mid breaks comes out.
And it has more bass. Yeah, getting a lot of distortion, crunchiness, just like rattling. This is not sounding great.
It
at
adds
all.
to the
Again,
experience, I
no
think.
bass. Not what you'd expect for a subwoofer. However, the twin sound. Yeah. I mean, it's still not fantastic, but it's decent. I mean, that's kind of, you know, your standard little computer speakers, little desktop speakers sound. Not much on the high end at all, but
It sounds like my early childhood.
yeah, perfectly tolerable. I would choose this and just not even bother with this. And this is, I mean, let's get some jazz going. Oh, that's awful.
Oh, that distorted so bad. Oh no.
Killing it. As in, like, in a bad way. That's just bad. It's a distortion at any volume, it seems, but especially with the loudness. Ugh. Uh-oh. And the moving around is so silly. It makes such a nominal difference. I don't think it's really worth... I'd much rather just stay in place. And now it's being pushed inward. Oh, no.
Uh-oh.
Crap. Yeah, the twin sound is really cool.
It's getting pushed inside the case. Whoops.
Yeah, again, it's really lacking a lot on the high end. There's not much there. But
Love the jazz.
overall, it just sounds more rounded to me. lower end is definitely more of it. Oddly enough, this, no joke, sounds way more pronounced on the higher end and mid-range. That's hilarious. Definitely leave that loudness off. In fact, I'm getting a bit of a buzz.
Oh. Oh.
Not a good kind either.
It sounds gross.
In case anyone's wondering if it makes any difference if there's nothing above it, so that maybe the speaker can do a little bit more reverberation or something.
What?
I mean, not really. It still has more of a higher end crispiness than the twin sound does, and the twin sound to me just has a little more bass and a little more of a rounded sound, even though it's not as crispy. It's just the opposite of what I expected. And yeah, the loudness. It still just causes, I don't know, maybe a slightly better tone, but more often than not, a lot of distortion and crackling and it's just not a good speaker.
Hey, it's Polyalphanet's music.
To do this.
Yes, exactly.
All right, let's try some games out. So, of course, we got to.
It's why I love Polyalphanet so much. They just remind me of the good times. Oh. Da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah, this is sounding pretty.
I can't hear anything.
Pretty good, all things considered.
All crunchy.
Yeah, significantly less distortion than like the Thermaltake Circle Fire or other things in drive bays that I've tried.
It's so indiscernible.
Like, there's a lot of sound pumping through there, and it's holding up just fine.
Or maybe that's just part of the game engine, it being so kind of muddy in my head.
Yeah, dude.
Those alien bastards are gonna pay for stealing my... I forgot the line.
Going in and just, questionable drive bay speakers. I don't know. I mean, this thing's still...
To be fair, we're hearing the difference from like a greater difference than I am. Yeah.
It's really...
I mean, honestly, I expected with how old these speakers are and how good his mic quality is, we'd be able to hear, like, a difference.
And yeah, the twin sound with its more rounded sound.
Shooting, yeah. Oh, that's...
Not bad.
I thought it was, like, shooting, messing
at
around.
all. Who knew? All right, let's try this. It's a new DOS game. It just came out, I think, a matter of days ago as sort of a...
Yeah, you overwrote my brain. Oh, what was that one?
Yeah, called UB in...
Shoot, hold on.
Sound is supposed to sound like that. It sounds kind of crunchy, kind of tinny, but...
Hold on, I'm gonna get the Duke Nukem theme, and I'm gonna say my favorite Duke quote. Hold on. Let me find it. I just remember what it says. Hold on. I need a... Shoot, hold on. Is this the Duke Nukem theme? Oh, there it is. I think I got it. Hold on, let me do it. Let me zoom in for this one. Come on. Come on. Oh, there it is. I'm not studying the multiplication table. I have a calculator, and my ass is fat.
Let's rock.
poop in that one. Anyway. I messed up the delivery so bad, but
Kind of a geometry
very
wars,
good.
asteroids type of thing.
Oh, this is a cute game.
Yeah.
Smiley.
I just figured I'd try something new. Don't get a chance to do that terribly often.
I refuse to study the multiplication table because I genuinely enjoyed the math, and then using the table ruined the fun. I find math tests fun. You say that, but have you done integrations? Because that makes my head still spin. And I don't even use it anymore.
I'm weirdly impressed. Yeah. How about some Earth Siege?
I did the
ages.
I did the multiplication table. I liked it.
And yeah,
I think I used to be able to do like 20 to 20.
quite good and quite intense at points. So yeah, dude.
I liked math when I could figure out what the numbers mean while I was doing them.
So let's just view the demo.
Roger. Switching over to defensive mode.
Ooh,
Spotted some
computer.
bad guys, sir.
Like physics, I could do so much. Chemistry, same.
Yeah. Tin cans, mess them up.
Thank you. Thank you, Nell. Thank you, Nell. I was better at physics, I guess, because I had more practical elements. Exactly. It's like you could visualize like what it was doing, right? Like when you were solving the problem. That's why I liked it the
This game is
most.
so cool, and it sounds good. So I think I have a new kind of favorite set of Drive Bay add-ons. Can't say I went into this expecting that result. I really thought these would be
I was not
garbage
expecting these
through
to be
and
even
through.
good.
They're totally not. At least together, working in harmony at the right volume levels.
I do want to absolutely just blow them up for no reason, like Dankpod style, but you know, that's probably my
Alright, well,
my old
this
habits of
relatively
wanting just to watch things just get
VR
destroyed.
thing,
I don't
definitely
know.
much less involved than I would normally do. But again, that is because I am out of town right now. I'm actually at Vintage Computer Festival Midwest
Ooh.
in Elmhurst, Illinois. If you're in the area, September 10th, 11th, 2022.
Darn it.
Do stop by. I've got an LG
Oh, can you make a
thing.
second video request?
I have
Absolutely.
Stuff for sale and just to play around with some machines and various computer hardware and stuff.
I'm just
a fun time. So
Seeing
yeah,
that you just
stop
clicked
by
on the
if you're
video.
nearby. If not, I'll have a video on it in the future. And yeah, I hope that you enjoyed this look at the twin sound
Okay.
and the subpar.
looking at modern Bluetooth speakers. If you're really like a smart engineer, you could probably make a killer drive bay speaker. Yeah, you could. I mean, if drive bays only existed, they kind of don't anymore. Anyway, speaking of things that don't exist anymore, the early 2000s. Here's another one about an internet appliance. So we're not even. This isn't even like Internet of Things. We're like, this is internet appliance. Like, actually a different. This is a old category of things that just don't exist anymore.
Hey everyone, it's Colin. How's it going? The late 90s saw a lot of people interested in getting on the internet for the first time, but not everyone wanted to deal with the cost or complexity of a typical PC. This time, let's check out an internet appliance that promised to make it easy to surf the web, but ended up going nowhere.
Ergo? Why is it called? Well, it's called Ergo, and their logo is the mathematical version of ergo, or therefore. But what's the therefore?
This is a 3Com Audrey. It was launched in October 2000 with hopes that it would attract customers who wanted a simple, inexpensive way of getting on this increasingly
Audrey is a very cute name, though, for an appliance.
popular thing called the internet. Reportedly named after actress Audrey Hepburn, it was a device.
Why does it
intended to
use
be
a
stylish enough to
hot
set
dog
up
for
in
comparison?
more than one
Wait, does it? Hold up, does it? This Well, no, it's the early thousands. This was before banana for scale was commonplace, so we had to use something. So hot dog,
In October
you know,
2000 way of
because
getting
hot
on
dogs
this
are a
increasingly
standard
popular thing called
size.
the internet.
Question
Reportedly
mark?
named after actress Audrey Hepburn, it was a device intended to be stylish enough to set up in a
Question
corner of
mark?
one's kitchen, and its design certainly looked the part.
What's the therefore?
Features a
Don't
7.5
confuse me.
inch
They're really not.
LCD, a
Yeah, that's what I
kickstand
thought.
on the back to prop it up, and stereo speakers on top.
Not gonna
The
lie,
left side holds the power
Looks cute.
input socket and phone jacks for the built-in 56K modem. The right
okay.
has a DE9 serial port connector, and
for
the bottom hides a headphone jack and pair of USB ports.
yo USB, it's the future. Yo, we got USB ports and a serial port.
The keyboard is wireless and communicates with Audrey through an infrared window
Oh.
up front.
Oh,
It feels really lightweight and so
Oh.
cheap, but
infrared keyboard. Oh,
buttons serve as hotkeys for Audrey's various functions, and a rotary encoder front and center allows one to switch through several so-called channels.
serial port.
And
Yeah,
that speaks to the overall experience of using this.
I do like that it has a dial though, so that's fun. And it looks so early 2000s. It's like curvy and chrome. I don't know why they did that. I prefer they used radio waves like the Wafer did. I feel like they would have, but maybe that costed too much money. Infrared is like super cheap because it's like it's super cheap.
Device. It isn't just an ordinary PC in a unique shape. It has a custom user interface and was meant to be easy and simple to use.
Does it run
Channels
Linux?
were predefined and allowed one to get the latest news, sports, weather, and entertainment information without really even needing to know what the internet is. The
That's
contents could be
cute.
updated on demand or set on a schedule so Audrey could retrieve new data multiple times a day.
Huh.
In fact, the unit was pretty much always turned on. There was no shutdown option anywhere in the interface, and pressing the power button on the front only put it into sleep mode. This allowed for those background updates to happen, but also had the benefit of being usable again almost instantly when waking it up.
Does it run Crisis?
Meaning
I don't think you can
everyone just needed to
run
quickly check
Snake,
the
my
calendar
friend.
Or grab a phone number for a contact.
It
Those
is.
functions were additional selling points for Audrey. It wasn't just a communications device, but also a personal organizer. There was an email client, and a neat feature it added was the ability to attach handwritten notes or brief voice memos to outgoing messages.
Oh.
The calendar allowed viewing events either by time or in simple list form, and the handwritten note option was available here too. Address book entries were also consolidated into one simple view, offering the ability to store email addresses, phone numbers,
Websites.
and web bookmarks. If owners wanted to broaden their horizons beyond the built-in channels, though, the web browser allowed surfing to any site. But with its lack of modern encryption support, these days there isn't a whole lot that one can still do.
Aw, it's cute.
Other than the keyboard, interacting with Audrey is primarily done with a stylus, which fits into a dock on top when not in use. It makes the device look like it has some kind of antenna, which adds to its vaguely mid-century modern aesthetic, but also serves as an alert indicator for new email or
Oh, that's super cool, actually.
Despite its simple
Multifunctional.
appearance and interface, there were some advanced features just below the surface. Audrey supported connecting a printer through USB, though it had a somewhat
USB?
limited list of compatible models.
Well, I thought the serial port.
on
Yeah,
the
there we
side
go.
was meant for connecting a Palm Pilot dock.
Oh,
Audrey could
Whoa.
sync with no configuration needed.
yo, syncing. This is good. It's a really cool concept. I really just like the notification stylus thing. I thought that's a really cute design. It's super cute.
Just drop the PDA in the cradle and press the button.
Oh,
Credit
wow.
card
Syncing
information
support.
can also be stored for autofilling on e-commerce sites, in obvious recognition of the dot-com era.
I
At its launch,
It's an idea.
was generally positive. As a family community,
it's $500. Yo, you must have had an expensive ass. You must have had a like. Oh, you must be rolling in the dough to have this thing.
communications hub, it worked well, and it was also ISP agnostic, so buyers weren't forced to sign up for any particular service.
What?
Audrey's styling set it apart. It was a sleek, purpose-built device that could fit into a common area of one's home and came in several colors. Its large user guide also did a good job explaining how to set up and use Audrey, with a sense of whimsy and non-patronizing language.
What
for
year
those
was this
new
released
to
again?
Cyberspace.
Early 2000s. So
But in terms of actual sales, Audrey was a total flop for many reasons. Its screen was small, and the passive matrix LCD offered bad viewing angles.
I have to work
slow
7 days in a row
refresh
doing
rates,
grocery
and
inventory.
poor
I can make like a
backlight
special
brightness.
request after this. It's super cool in like
Ergonomically,
7
it
minutes.
was a mess.
Absolutely.
With no mouse support, one
We will
hand
watch it
used
never.
the stylus
We will
to
watch it soon.
navigate, and
Bring,
even when it
hello,
dropped
hello,
out,
hello.
One felt like they had to hunch over.
But
to
can we shove an AOL disk inside?
Being compatible with a variety of ISPs was nice.
Well, it
but
supports AOL. Does that count?
America Online wasn't one of them. And if one was lucky
Oh, it doesn't support AOL. What?
access,
Oh no.
took a specific USB adapter to gain an Ethernet port.
Uh-oh.
3Com firmware locked Audrey to just its own model and charged $60 US for the accessory.
Oh, that sucks. Ew.
Palm Pilot synchronization was a neat feature, and it was possible to set up several calendars, but without proper support for multiple users, you were limited to just one email account and contact list. And the term limited describes the rest of the Audrey experience as well.
Oh man, it ran macro.
Its real-time operating system.
Yo.
There were no provisions for adding additional programs or even basic productivity tools like word processing. The device
That used
was
to be
also
Ethernet
somewhat
before.
slow,
And
as
to
it
know,
was
yeah.
powered by a National Semiconductor Geode processor running at 200 megahertz and only had 32 megabytes.
Oh, so that's the
of RAM.
equivalent of $800 today. Expensive for a
Audrey's
web
real
browser.
Problems, though, came from its competition.
Yeah.
Other internet appliances from the likes of Compaq and Gateway offered larger screens, more features, and better prices. While in general they had a similar retail price to Audrey's $500 US, on many occasions they could be bought at a steep discount if bundled with an internet service plan, something Audrey didn't offer. If one was buying an internet appliance, they likely didn't have an ISP plan already.
Also, Lunar.
So bundling everything,
Go ahead and post the link.
saving money in the process.
I will
was appealing.
we'll put it next.
The other thing that
Ow.
was appealing was, well, just buying a real
Oh boy. Again, it's just those like sticker things that age incredibly poorly. This one's always great.
PC. The late 90s saw entry-level computers caught up in a race to the bottom, and by the time the internet appliances entered the scene, it was possible to spend that same $500 or so and get a machine that ran Windows. It wouldn't have yielded as smooth of an experience as Audrey offered, but the value proposition was far better.
Oh wow, it's still
A
at the same
PC
price for an
simply
actual
didn't
computer.
have any of these devices' limitations. And because of that, none of the all-in-one internet appliances survived. They dropped out of the market throughout 2001 and early 2002, sometimes just months after being announced. For most of the manufacturers, it was a disappointment but had no real impact. Gateway and Compaq, for example, made most of their money from PC sales anyway. But the demise
Gateway
of Audrey
store.
in June of 2001
Oh man.
was a much bigger problem for 3Com.
And even the Zebo lasted longer?
Audrey had been the first
Yeah.
device in a series of products called Ergo, after the Latin word meaning therefore. Previously, 3Com's main success in the consumer products market was its Palm PDA line,
Oh.
of US robotics in 1997. But 2000 saw
Oh.
more reorganization within the company, including spinning off Palm and US Robotics in July of that year. 3Com had abandoned its high-end enterprise networking market in pursuit of consumer and small business products, and with more components being integrated into computer motherboards, its previously lucrative network card line saw a rapid decline in sales.
Oh.
Audrey's failure prompted 3Com
Damn.
to abandon the Ergo line entirely, along with its Kurbango internet radio.
Kurbango.
Profits crumbled and losses increased.
That's a name.
And news of layoffs sent investors running. A partnership with Chinese networking manufacturer Huawei in 2003 stabilized things somewhat, but 3Com had long been done with consumer products.
Internet radio?
It was ultimately
Whoa.
acquired by Hewlett-Packard in 2010.
Wow. The
The
fate.
Audrey units that were sold didn't necessarily all end up on the scrap heap of history, though. Software hackers curious about the platform quickly found a software exploit that allowed them to modify the system by leveraging the compact flash card slot hidden on the right side.
Hey.
In time, they were able to add new functionality like MP3 file playback and instant messaging clients. But in most cases, this was still a bit of a novelty. And even today, it's possible to find new in-box units for sale on sites like eBay. The dot-com boom and subsequent bust in the early 2000s certainly had its impact on the direction technology would take. And despite their failures, internet appliances like Audrey did end up leaving their mark on how we'd interact with the web. They signified it was no longer a place that just desktops and laptops could go, and in time, ended up in devices we could carry with us everywhere.
It had a good idea. Just a little bit
Like the video, I'd
slow on the
appreciate a
upkeep,
thumbs
I
up,
guess.
and be sure to subscribe. You can
Okay.
follow me on social media
Cool.
at thisdoesnotcomp. And as always, thanks for watching.
Yay. Okay. All right. Next video is going to be for Lunar because it's a little short. What is this one? Oh, hold on. Ooh, Sega, a demo for Sega, for the Sega Mega Drive? This is already my jam. Oh my god, Pong. Wait, is this wait a minute. Is this a demo? Is this a... Oh, this is a Genesis demo? Hello, Pixar. So the demo scene group Titan found a special feature on the European Mega Drive that allowed them to force all layers to display at once, and also to perform multiplicative blending? So they made a whole demo around it? Yo! Honestly, we need to watch... Oh, man. Now I want to watch demo scene videos with you guys. That'd be really cool of an idea. Also, the fact that this is... Oh, yeah, wait. This is running 50 hertz, right? So this is a... Oh my god, how can you do that? Hey, when was this? Do you watch Ahoy's videos when he uploads? Yes. They take forever, but yes. Just the logo alone has gotten me hooked onto continuing to watch. I need to know what else they can do with this bullshit. Oh, wow. I need to show you guys like the Nintendo 3DS demo scene video that I saw. It was really impressive. Grabby hands, I want to play. No, this isn't a game, it's just a video. Oh, man. Yo, it's transparent. Oh, wow. Okay. Oh my god. Wait, hold on. Every time I see 3D on a console that I know never did 3D, well, is so good. Again, it's just all the transparency effects are so good, and it's not even like dithering either. Like, especially if we're getting the direct output, this is not dithering. If we're familiar with the Mega Drive's technical limitations, it helps a lot to get why it's impressive. Yeah. This is my favorite part. Okay. Okay. Wait a minute. Whoa, 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 whoa. Yo, homie, are those fractals? Yo. Holy shit. This goes further than Mode 7. Those are three-dimensional objects. What? Yeah, this is beyond game. Like, demo scene is good. Demo scene's just incredibly dope. The fractal thing was frame mode 7? Yeah, but you can only go zoom in and zoom out so much. And this is on, yeah, this is 16 bits, man, of processing power. A lot of math involved in this. Oh yeah, isn't the music also being played on the console too? No 3D, yeah, no 3D capabilities, no hardware transparency. Oh, look, it's doing 3D and transparency effects. Oh my god, it's full of stars. Oh man. Actually, the Mega Drive is capable of rendering 3,000 polygons per second without any... Wow, really? Oh wait, no, wasn't there like Sega Rally? I forgot what it was called. Sega Master Rally or... I remember what it was. It was like that... Hold on. It was an old Sega racing game. I know it. Also, these are credits. Good job, everybody. But dang, that's just... tech demos are cool. Like, demo scene's cool. Hold on. I skipped the credits? No, shouldn't I have not? Go back and watch the credits? Okay, I'll watch the credits. Looking forward to some proper Super Nintendo competition. Honestly, I would actually be interested for that. For that fractal part, they were subtly blending in the same image over and over again as it assumed. Oh, that's so smart. Oh man, I love it when people do cool stuff with like limited things. Limited tech like that. Yay! Credits. If you look closely at the top left side of the screen, you can see a pattern of dots flashing around. That's when the hidden blending mode is active. Where? You said lower... Oh, top left. Oh, it's up here. I see it. Yeah, okay. I think I know what that is, at least. Like, because this is the actual... Like, this display is part of it. This display is part of... Like, that is visual artifacting from doing work in the overscan, isn't it? Yeah, that's what that is. It's still hella cool. Oh, yeah. There's also, like, 3DS demos that I liked. This was a short one that I wanted to show. This was on the DS in 2000. It reminds me a bit of Splatoon. Yeah, vertical interrupts are the key to make a lot more advanced Mega Drive stuff, but that went beyond it. Yeah. You're right. I mean, it's not like you'd be able to play a game with that type of stuff either. That was using a lot of... It was using all the capabilities to make a presentation, you know? Reminds me of Mirror's Edge, yeah. And I think this was before the release of Nintendogs by, like, a lot. So... Yeah, I remember this one being very basic and then getting, like, pretty good. I mean, already, like, 3D models? We're on, like, a good start, you know? And, like, partially updating the textures on the walls like that while they're walking by. Very cool. Probably involves some VRAM hacks. Yeah, probably DMA. Like, it's just, like the part that was just so cool was that... Oh, yeah, that too. That portal. like, and this was in 2009. And like, it's not a Mega Drive because like people have had time to rip apart the Mega Drive, like in terms of like coding to bits. But like, this was very good. Only 5 years in too, you know? It was very cute. Oh yeah, there we go. Features: 3D engine with skeletal animation, texture compression, video textures. Oh, it's a video texture. MP3 decoder player running on the DS own hardware, not on the card. ROM streaming, some scenes of the famous Debris PC demo. A lot of colors for the old school tunnel effect. Yeah, it was mainly the real-time color splats that were impressive. Yeah. So it was the it was video textures. Huh. That's neat. Anyway. So that was cool. Thank you, Lunar. All right. Let's go. Let's move away from technology and more onto urban myth stuff. So this is the one from a video from Kid Leaves Stoop. It's about Spongeboy me Bob. And well, Sponge Boy.
On page 42 of the official SpongeBob SquarePants trivia,
The Sponge
author
Boy.
David Fain writes, SpongeBob was originally named Spongeboy, but someone was already using that name, so the Y became a B. Published just 1 year after the cartoon's 1999 debut on Nickelodeon, this is the...
I'm familiar with most of the VRAM tricks Sonic games used. Yeah, they used a lot of tricks, and also like
Book Fair
they also did the dithering stuff, right?
Who is this someone the book mentions? Who is the original Spongeboy? A quick Google search may lead you to believe Nickelodeon changed the name after discovering Spongeboy was being used by a mop company. This quote-unquote fact is everywhere. Blogs, books, biographies, brand accounts. It's shared so much because it's a fun little story. But much like Mr. Squarepants, this story has holes.
The original character design, this is the only part that scares me. From top of shoes, he's 5 eyes tall. What?
Dive deep enough and you'll discover some nautical nonsense. There is no Spongeboy Mop. No trademarks, no copyrights, no patents.
Sonic Express were fully certain they were
So
streamed the
strap in
card.
and set your belts to Wumbo as we explore the Mop urban legend and uncover the true identity of the original Spongeboy.
Sponge.
With this mop, I shape my destiny.
It's also just really funny saying the word Spongebob or Spongeboy like a lot. Spongeboy.
From humble beginnings.
As far back as 2003, people were questioning the Spongeboy name change. Patent and trademark attorney Eric Heels was unable to find a U.S. federal trademark on Spongeboy. And a foreign trademark preventing the green light doesn't make much sense. SpongeBob is still called Spongeboy in some regions, like Iceland. The only public U.S. copyright records for Spongeboy were filed after the turn of the century. And when searching U.S. patent records for Spongeboy, we get nothing but a few false positives. The Chore Boy sponge is a handheld sponge that cleans hard-to-reach surfaces. Not sponsored. I could see this being confused for a mop. Maybe. And some ads for the Chore Boy are written in such a way that they read Spongeboy. Kinda. Though following logic, this 1998 advertisement for a SpongeBob scrub sponge might have caused Nick to have yet another go with the name. Okay, we desperately need some context. First off, we need to prove David Fain's claim that SpongeBob was originally named Spongeboy. Well, for starters, he worked on the show season 1, but we can do better. In 2002, the first
Sega Racing gave an extremely powerful DSP in it.
Bonus feature
okay.
featurette with writer and storyboard artist Jay Lender.
In the very beginning, SpongeBob was called Spongeboy. But I think they found out that someone else was using the name. There was another character named Spongeboy, so they had to change it to SpongeBob, and for about a minute and a half, everyone was very upset about that. And then they realized SpongeBob is better.
So a product and a character? We'll keep that in mind. If we needed any more proof that SpongeBob's original name was Spongeboy, we can turn to creator Steven Hillenberg's original pitch Bible. Completed in 1997, SpongeBoy Ahoy is what Hillenburg first presented to Nickelodeon when pitching what would ultimately become SpongeBob SquarePants.
SpongeBoy
Full of
Ahoy,
unseen
man.
artwork and prototype story ideas.
Now we'll go back
It's
to
well worth
back
a
to
read,
Count Stock.
linked in the description.
Thank you for joining in, Lunar.
Mention the Mop.
Thank you for showing us demo scene stuff. Have a good one, alright?
Let's check some websites. When discussing the Mop, the SpongeBob fan wiki cites the Mental Floss article, 14 Things You May Not Have Known About SpongeBob SquarePants. Coming in at number 2 on the list, the Mop fact is attributed to a 2009 blog post on Neatorama, which doesn't have any references. Not so neat. Elsewhere on the wiki, you can find the SpongeBoy Mop sourced to Banks 2004, page 31. This refers to the book SpongeBob Exposed, The Insider's Guide to SpongeBob SquarePants.
Gasp.
This is not a good reference. The book flat out doesn't mention the Mop. It simply reiterates what David Fain said in his trivia book. I also checked the 20th anniversary re-release just in case. Nothing. On the other hand, we have the SpongeBob SquarePants Wikipedia article. It mentions the SpongeBoy Mop, referring to a 2006 interview with Tom Kenny, the voice of the titular character.
Yeah, you know, originally SpongeBob, when we started to do the 7-minute pilot way back in 1997, he was originally called SpongeBoy. After we had recorded the 7-minute pilot with SpongeBoy and everybody calling him SpongeBoy and him referring to himself as SpongeBoy, the legal department found out that there was some kind of a product, like a mop or something, and they had to change it. So SpongeBob was kind of Steve's last-minute fix.
Finally, something of substance, and from a primary source. But fan sites and forums were talking about the Mop years prior to the interview. There's got to be something earlier.
What's happening? I was buying Devil's Third. Why were you buying Devil's Third?
In the context of a tangible
Hold up.
product. In 1996, Tampa, Florida saw the theatrical production Who Soaked SpongeBoy? A comedy for all ages, you'll be hard-pressed to find a review, let alone a synopsis of this play. Time to break out Oh Reliable. The Mystical Mop is mentioned in the 2004 book, The Magic Behind the Voices, a who's who of cartoon voice actors.
After they already recorded the pilots, the legal department discovered that there was a commonly sold floor mop of the same name, and the character was quickly rechristened with only a slight variation to have as little impact as possible on the production already in progress.
That text was derived from a 2003 lecture at Harper College, presented by Tom Kenny. Going back further to May 2002, and I believe
You were buying this best still remaining Wii. It's the Morbius of video games.
Journalist Mark McGuire.
All right, we gotta ask now. What is the Morbius of video games, everybody?
SpongeBob, whose name was changed
I need to know.
July 19th,
We need to know. We need to figure that out.
There was a mop named SpongeBoy, is the top-rated program among youths for Nickelodeon. If a household cleaning product can become a TV star, then raccoon coats can certainly make a comeback.
The press release is an interview with, you guessed it, Tom Kenny, the only consistency in this tangled situation.
Oh, Tom.
If anyone would have more information on the mop, it would be Kenny. Unfortunately, asking the celebrity about a 25-year-old cleaning product is no easy task. No surprises there. While I couldn't get a response from Kenny, I got the next best thing.
Hey, I doubt it.
Responses from several Season 1 crew members.
Wow.
These guys were working on the show back when it was still named
is it Devil's Third?
To recall the name change.
I thought it was like Daikatana or something.
But whether or not a mop was the catalyst, that's lost to time. Enter Eric Weiss. Eric worked on the first 5 seasons of SpongeBob SquarePants, and the information he provided blew my findings out of the water.
I don't think it was a mop, but I'm not positive about that. Whenever it was, the legal team didn't want to.
We do not speak that name in this house. What?
Somewhere.
John Romero?
I distinctly remember the conversation when the legal department told me. Steve Hillenburg and Derek Dryman invited me to the editing room to see the latest animation. It wasn't until I saw the name tag shot where it says Employee SpongeBob.
Spongebob.
About the name change, and that's when Steve and Derek told me. It was meant to be. It's so much funnier.
First off, thank you, Mr. Weiss. Second, wow, okay, that's a lot to unpack. It just goes to show the power of asking questions.
Die Japanese sword.
And some new terms
okay, fair.
Like East Coast, I was able to crack the case surprisingly quickly. After a few misleads, like this Sponge Boy nail file being resold by East Coast Bargains. But with only a finite number of links to click, it was only a matter of time until I stumbled upon the real Spongeboy. Now, I want to give Tom Kenny and any others the benefit of the doubt. I don't think the mop rhetoric was spread with ill intentions. Chalk it up as misremembering, or a legal department red herring, or just an easier to explain story. Because the original Spongeboy was not a mop. It was not a cleaning product. It was a pencil.
Poof, hello. Pencil.
In 1992, New Jersey-based pencil manufacturer Pentec launched a series of pencils called Cool Art. The goal? Create something trendy. Coordinated by legendary illustrator Lou Brooks, over a dozen artists were brought on board to design 18 products. The 11th Cool Art pencil was entitled Spongeboy. The product packaging depicts
Spongebob!
Original character.
We found him,
Jump
the original.
Pool. One can only imagine the hijinks the swimmers are about. Hey, wait a second. We've seen this before. Debuting in a newspaper comic back in 1987, Kevin Pope's Spongeboy is, with near certainty, the reason SpongeBob's name is what we know it as today. While this Spongeboy wasn't trademarked, Cool Art was, and one can see why the Nickelodeon legal team wouldn't want to take their chances with possible copyright infringement. This was a real product with a real barcode sold in real stores. Looks like raccoon coats are not making a comeback. To conclude this little mystery, I really wanted to get my hands on a Spongeboy pencil. It just wasn't happening. These things are hard to come by. However, I was able to find Cool Art number 6, illustrated by John Sayles. So, meet Leadhead, a distant cousin of Kevin Pope's Spongeboy. After the Cool Art line of products, Pentec would have a few more good years, securing sports contracts with the NBA, NFL, and NHL. Eventually, profits would suffer, and Pentec would be acquired by Jakks Pacific in 2000. They're still around in some capacity today, even coming full circle, or square, releasing official SpongeBob Squarepants pencils. The Pentec Spongeboy wasn't the only Spongeboy around in 90s America. There was an experimental musician called Spongeboy, who would later go on to form Handsome Rodney.
So many things called Spongeboy.
According to
his music,
the Spongeboy musician was another reason the Nickelodeon legal department was apprehensive about using the Spongeboy name. But perhaps most notably, and most often cited alongside the mop, there's the Flaming Carrot, a superhero created by Bob Burden in 1979. Having read 5,000 comics in a single sitting to win a bet, a poor man suffered brain damage and turned into the Flaming Carrot. This superhero was Burden's blue-collar response to the elitist, perfection-oriented superheroes of the time. The Flaming Carrot is mediocre. The Flaming Carrot is a carrot. One of the superheroes.
He's now also one of my favorite characters.
Spongeboy made his debut in the 1984 Anaglyph 3D comic, The Bandit Moons. My copy didn't come with the 3D glasses. Luckily, I had my Spy Kids pair oddly close.
Oh no, they're back again!
Get under cover!
The sky hook! Run for it, Spongeboy!
No, no, no!
They got Spongeboy!
Oh no!
Coming, Spongeboy! Hold on, little buddy.
Ah!
Give back, you floating moon goons!
Skyhooks!
They got him! On his birthday.
No!
What did I tell you about those hooks, boy?
We wouldn't hear from poor Spongeboy for 3 more years, in a crossover featuring the Flaming Carrot and another famous satirical comic, Cerebus the Aardvark. In This Flame, This Carrot,
shout out
the
to
two find
Skyhook's
themselves in a
adventure.
tall tower. The only light source is the carrot's flaming head.
Hey.
Now, for an abridged reading of Cerebus 104, This Flame, This Carrot.
I will still be able to enjoy
Hurry now.
the amazing voice acting
How far?
and the comic of Flaming Carrot.
130,000 miles. What? It's okay. We'll take the shortcut. Shortcut? What kind of a... Shh. How did you get up here? Let's just say I get around. Onward!
What?
Hold it. Whoa. Look. Cerebus doesn't know who you are. Cerebus doesn't know what you're doing in the Black Tower. Tower? I thought it was a department store. Cerebus doesn't care who you are. Cerebus doesn't care what you're doing in the Black Tower. And Cerebus can't see a reason Cerebus would need your help. So, hey, Now you tell me, which way is top and which way is bottom? See? You need me, like Skipper needs Gilligan. Follow closely.
I don't know, Flaming Carrot's kind of an asshole.
So where's this darn shortcut you keep talking?
He seems like a jerk.
We will know it when we see it. We must not be fooled by side tunnels pretending to be shortcuts. They are roads to nowhere.
Thanks,
How
buddy.
can you tell the difference? there is only one way to...
Whee!
Look, it's Sponge Boy. Sponge Boy?
The flaming carm is a more delicious version of Chainsaw Man. Yeah. Oh, it's Sponge Boy. Yo, he's back.
About the shortcut? Aside from the bandit moons, how was your birthday?
It was a most peculiar and incredible adventure.
Something about side tunnels? Oh, feel that? We must hold
Ah.
now. Ah! Told you so. I have to take Sponge Boy back down. He is too young to return by himself. What about the... Wait! Hold tight, Sponge Boy. Wait!
He just drops?
Shortcut.
Bert and Sponge Boy would later appear alongside Bill Clinton in 1997's annual number 1. This
What?
was released around the time of the SpongeBob name change.
I do enjoy Sponge Boy. Just so much. He just looks so fun.
Bert and Sponge Boy would make his final appearance in 2004. In a scene too bizarre and amazing to spoil, a photorealistic Sponge Boy and Flaming Carrot cross paths.
Whoa.
You can find claims online that Nickelodeon chose SpongeBob to pay tribute to Bob, Bert, and Sponge Boy, but that's a load of barnacles. Steven Hillenburg conceptualized Bob the Sponge in his educational comic The Inner Tidal Zone, back in 1984 when he was a marine biologist.
Originally, he was
Oh.
You know, you take an inanimate object like apple and you put the word boy on it, Apple Boy, and it becomes alive. But Sponge Boy was trademarked by someone, so I decided on an alternate, SpongeBob, like Billy Bob. I felt it was important to have his first name be Sponge, so that when you looked at him, you would not think, cheese, man.
Cheese man.
The children's TV series has continuously embraced the character's roots as Sponge Boy over the past...
Oh no, only one thing can be on me at a time.
Famous line,
Sponge Boy, me Bob!
Sponge Boy is the name of the official SpongeBob title card font, and you can even spot a picture of Hillenburg's original Sponge Boy in the third SpongeBob movie, Sponge on the Run. If you want to try your hand at locating the Sponge Boy pencil, or just discuss the mop situation...
I believe it might be queued up, so we'll find out.
...in the description. So there we have it. The mop was actually a pencil. At the end of the day, does it really make a difference? Sure, a pencil may not look anything like a mop, but tell me, does this ice cream look anything like SpongeBob?
It's close. So yeah, I did not know that. I didn't even know that Sponge Boy was like the original name, but that was cool. Oh, next video. The next one is from oh, it's Pring. Yay! Is for musical secrets and trivia in Mario Kart. And this creator, I've not heard of them. Bizabizow? That's a fun one.
Welcome.
Oh, hold on.
Hey, paisanos. Welcome to another video game musical trivia and Easter eggs video where I talk about one of my favorite things, the thing I just said. I love video game soundtracks and all the little secrets, references, motifs, etc.
My brain's going, do I hear is the lick gonna happen?
As much of the interesting trivia out there.
Is the Mario Kart lick gonna happen?
Recently, there's been a couple of notable events in the Nintendo sphere. They announced a pretty substantial Mario Kart 8 DLC. Pretty exciting. And of course, the company also made the bold and highly controversial decision of sending armed Nintendo employees to every Wii owner's house to arrest anyone who were able to hum the theme from Wii Sports when asked, which, you know, I can't blame them, honestly. People were
tossing two shorties. I did see those, yeah.
So that's, you know, completely in their right. So the relevance of both Mario Kart and Nintendo music has got me thinking about the amazing music of Mario Kart. And given the surprising amount of interesting tidbits it has, I decided to stick it to the man and cover this series. Also, I've just coincidentally been really into Mario Kart recently, even before the direct, so that works out. So let's talk some Mario Kart track, shall we? The music one, not the a race car. Despite being the first in the series, and the fact that its soundtrack is relatively small compared to all the other installments, Super Mario Kart actually has quite a lot of musical tidbits to talk about. First, I'll get a few pretty obvious music reuses out of the way. Ghost Valley is an altered version of the Ghost House theme from Mario World.
Right.
Bowser's Castle is literally just the final Bowser fight theme from Mario World. And Mario's result screen jingle is an obvious nod to the main Mario theme. Those are all boring, though. Yawns, lays down, goes to sleep. But here's something a little more interesting. Did you know that there's a melody originating in this game that appears in every single Mario Kart installment afterwards? Well, all but one, but we'll talk about that. As you may have known, that melody is the iconic title theme to this game, right here.
Alright, let's go. Light motifs, my favorites.
This would become the main theme of sorts for the Mario Kart series, and its motif would go on to show up in every game's main theme. Mario Kart 64 was the first to kind of start this trend with its title screen. This is essentially a slowed down version of this main melody.
I'm trying to hear it.
This drawn-out version is what was used for the other game's themes as well, as I will play here.
Yeah. I absolutely can't believe I did not notice this motif. Absolutely cannot believe I did not notice this motif.
Its inclusion of the motif is actually the upbeat original speed, kind of bringing it all full circle.
Oh yeah, there it is.
Now, you may have noticed that one game is missing from this list, and that's Super Circuit. And that's because, as far as I can tell, it's the only one that doesn't feature the motif anywhere. I've seen a couple of wikis try to claim that the
wasn't in the advance,
but I've listened to this thing over and over and cannot hear it. It's just not there. It sucks that this installment makes the trend kind of incomplete. If there's something that I missed, be sure to let me know though. Another series staple that originated in Super Mario Kart was, of course, Rainbow Road. Now we get to talk about that.
Motifs!
So this funky little
motif time
in a couple fun little ways throughout the series. First, in Super Circuit, hey look, it redeemed itself. In its version of Rainbow Road, you can hear a little segment of this song in its intro.
My favorite Mario Kart version as a kid was Advance Super Circuit, because it was the first one I had and it was really good at it.
In some other more sneaky ways. Although the melody part is somewhat absent, Double Dash, DS, and Wii all definitely use this chord progression for the start of their tracks.
Yeah, it's the same chord progression. Yeah.
SNES Rainbow Road is definitely a solid and iconic song, but come on, we all know where it's really at, am I right? This is definitely one of the most beloved Mario Kart songs, and that's for good reason. This shit's a vibe. But as you probably know, this also became a semi-reoccurring motif in subsequent Rainbow Road themes, first making its reappearance in Double Dash. And at the end of the day, it really is a road that you go, isn't it? Mario Kart 7's Rainbow Road famously also uses
Rainbow Road 150cc mushroom only. I could do that. Fight me. Da, da, da.
neat stuff. But we're actually going to
It's a
venture
Rainbow Road.
a little bit here.
Way to die.
That actually has a really sneaky 64 Rainbow Road Easter egg in one of its songs. In the post-completion World 9, that is very much Rainbow Road adjacent in theme, as you can see, you can hear this distant electric guitar riff that's a very small portion of the song.
Hey. Yeah, there it is. Ba. Da.
This is really clever. I didn't notice this for a while, but as soon as I did, it provided a free sampling of serotonin. I also wanted to mention another
Love serotonin.
mod that's in Paper Mario Color Splash. This one isn't super obscure in any regard. It's pretty much just a song cameo, but I wanted to mention it regardless because of how cute it is. As those of you who have played the game may know, towards the end of the game, there's a little segment where after collecting all the big paint stars, a magical rainbow bridge appears leading a path to Bowser's castle in the sky, where Luigi shows up in a cart accompanied by literally just the Mario Kart 8 title screen music. Remix. It's just straight up the exact same track, weirdly enough. Driving you on the road to the castle. This cutscene features a fun little remix of N64 Rainbow Road, and it's really cute. Give it a listen.
His brother just comes on with a go-kart and helps him. Oh, that's cute.
Before we move on, I have a couple more Rainbow Road related tidbits to share. Smash for 3DS and Wii U features a track titled Rainbow Road Medley, which is pretty straightforward in what it is. I wouldn't call any of this secretive, but Smash medleys don't usually advertise which pieces are included, so I thought I would mention.
Luigi is a good boy. He's such a good brother.
Although it also appears in the Wii U version, this track was composed mainly for Smash 3DS, specifically as Mario Kart 7 Rainbow Road State. Given Smash 3DS's intentional emphasis on the handheld side of all its featured franchises' history, this medley echoes the sentiment by featuring all the handheld Mario Kart Rainbow Road themes, starting with Mario Kart 7, which again also includes the 64 motif. Then DS. And ending with Super Circuit. Although I definitely would have loved to hear some other home console Rainbow Road themes included, this is still a solid medley. As far as Smash medleys go, though, none compete with Brawl's Ocarina medley. That shit had no right to go that hard. And oh shit, it's Mario Kart Wii, y'all. So, being that this game released about 5 months after Super Mario Galaxy, when the game was in the midst of its large popularity and relevance, Mario Kart Wii made sure to include a few elements from it, such as the fan favorite Rosalina as a playable character. Woo! Rainbow Road tends to, take place in space, so they of course used this as an opportunity for a few more references, like the little floating star bits and hey, a musical Easter egg. This game's Rainbow Road theme actually quotes a small segment of Good Day Galaxy, as you can hear here. So to finish up the video, I'll talk about my favorite Mario Kart track of all time, Maple Tree Way. No, it's not because autumn is my favorite season and is like my whole aesthetic or anything. What are you talking about? Shut the fuck up. Being an amazing track, of course it's gotta have an amazing song with it. did you know that this song also appears in Paper Mario Origami King of all things? In the Shogun Studios section, there's the Tranquil Pipes tea house that you can visit. That's theme is a really beautiful traditional koto-style rendition of the song.
Oh, that's cute. Holy crud. Down.
So excited when I got to this part. I went berserk over this stupid thing. But hey, I actually missed something, didn't I? This song appears again in Mario Kart Wii, actually. In the credits, well, the second version of the credits specifically, it quotes a more intense piano version of the melody.
I feel like a sleeper agent listening to all these songs like after a decade and a half. I know, right?
Hey, pretty neat, huh?
Pass,
Oh, but wait, there's...
pass the wheel, homie. I'm ready to coca the shit out of the small.
Okay, so maybe...
Oh, absolutely, man.
Everyone else knew this, but I only learned...
Stand back, guys. I'm gonna coconut the small.
And it totally blew my mind. I've never noticed this before. This game's version of Bowser's Castle, on top of having an intro that's an obvious reference to the original castle theme from Super Mario Bros. Also is a straight-up minor key dark version of Maple Tree Way. Check it out.
What? Oh wow, that is just a minor key.
I legitimately don't know how I never caught on to this fact.
Why?
This is so rad.
That's weird.
And that does it for this video. There's quite a bit more to talk about with this series, so if you'd like to see it, let me know in the comments. If you have any other interesting bits of video game musical trivia or games you'd like to see covered in this series, tell me those as well. And I'd like to give some thanks to my Skrunklies over on Patreon. Thank you for supporting me. Luca Baba Booey, Spider Bee, Molly Mop.
Hey, hold up. Hold up.
Steel.
She calls her Patreon supporters her Skrunklies. I need to subscribe to her Patreon like right now. I need to subscribe. Hold on. I'm subscribing to her Patreon right now. I want to be a Skrunkly. Oh, my fault. Skrunklies are $10 a month. I'm still subscribing to her. That was dope. That was funny. Oh no. Okay. The next one is a oh no. This one is more of a debunking thingamahoozer. What's it? So this one I just thought is just interesting because it's like, you know, debunking the really dumb viral stuff that happens on YouTube. This one's about electronics. So I hope this one's interesting.
This is an ESC, aka an electronic speed controller, and they're super important when it comes to driving BLDC motors, which come in all sorts of sizes for different
another edition,
like for example drones, gimbals, electric skateboards, and much more. Basically put, BLDC motors are widely used nowadays, and the only real disadvantage of them is that they cannot be powered directly with direct current like from a battery. Instead, we need to put the mentioned ESC in between motor and battery, whose job it is to connect the motor wires to the battery voltage in a specific order so that the motor can spin. That is why ESCs are so important, and you can actually spend a ton of money on them if you need a real powerful one that can handle a big and powerful motor. So as you would expect, ESCs are normally not that simple to build, which we can easily prove through the number of components this super basic ESC is made of, which are 85 in total. And that is why I was rather surprised when one day YouTube suggested me a video in which someone built an ESC with just 9 components. At first sight, I of course thought that this was a fake, but 500,000 views and a good like to dislike ratio led me to giving it a try, and I was surprised to find out that the circuit does in fact work. So does that mean we should all abandon the expensive, complicated ESCs and simply build this almighty super simple DIY ESC? Well, we will certainly find out in this video. Let's get started. This video is sponsored by Mal Science, which is a subscription service that
The sponsor is science related, I will let it slide.
offers monthly science boxes like this one right here, about, for example, alternative energy. It is a hands-on science experimentation kit designed for kids to make science topics.
Having people learn things is good. I will not skip sponsors for this.
Instructions are straightforward, easy to follow, and you can always dig a bit deeper by using the given AR and VR apps with your phone. So I personally like what they're offering here, and I will certainly explore more of their kits, which you can all find nicely listed on their websites. If you're also interested, then use my promo code GreatScots to save 50% on your first monthly box.
Now, first off, what I love most about such videos is that they do not give you much information. All the creator showed was how he prepared a motor for its circuits, how to connect the components together, he threw in some component choices, showed that the circuits can spin a motor with 9 volts, and finally presented a schematic, which for convenience I recreated here. But what was sadly missing and very important was whether the driver can handle when a proper load gets attached.
You should add the YouTube sponsor block to your browser.
While it is certainly fun just rotating a motor,
maybe I should.
Pretty much always
have
to attach a load so that the motor actually fulfills a job. Of course there were more things I was interested in, but before boring you too much, let's rather build the circuits by firstly gathering the mentioned components. Now sadly, I didn't have the mentioned MOSFET types laying around, but I think my IRFZ44N here should be a good replacement, considering that it comes with similar properties. So next, I sorted all the components to one another according to the schematic. After that, all that was left to do was simply hooking up a motor, which led to the first big problem. You see, pretty much all commercial BLDC motors come with 3 wires, but the motor shown in the video and schematic requires 4 wires. Now, truth be told though, I accidentally discovered that this circuit also works with 3-wire motors, and we will have a quick look at that later.
You can have it remove interaction reminders, which is good.
The reason for
I'll let those. I mean, I usually let those pass.
Switches.
Like, I don't know. I'm not too bothered by them, especially if the sponsors are not absolutely heinous.
And that is
like if they're not heinous, they're fine, you know.
That we can connect to the positive voltage.
I get it.
So
content creator got to make their money, get that bread,
way,
all that jazz.
ESCs do work with 3 motor wires because they have 2 MOSFETs at each wire that can either connect it to the supply voltage or ground, and thus we can create all the current directions we need. So without knowing the 3 motor wire secrets, this is already one big flaw of the circuits. But to test it anyway, we can cheat and get ourselves such hard drive or optical drive motors, because some of them come with the exact 4 wires we need. To determine which one is which, we can simply measure the resistances between all points, and when 3 of them feature one common low resistance to 1, then we know which one is the star point. And thus, we can finally add some wires, connect the motor to the driver, hook up my lab bench power supply, and set the voltage to 9 volts like in the video. And as you can see, after powering it up, nothing really works like intended. We got a big current flow which does not heat up the MOSFETs, but instead one coil of the motor, because the corresponding MOSFET switch is turned on. The solution here was to start with a lower voltage and give the motor a spin to get it going. And as you can see, by increasing the voltage, the speed does increase as well. And I have to say that you can in fact load the motor a bit before it gets stuck.
But so basically how these motors work is there are 3 sets of coils wrapped around these, or maybe sometimes 4. And through some like clever switching and magnets, the motor gets attracted to one set of coils, and then when it almost reaches that, it gets repelled by the target moves to the other set of coils, and then to the other, and then it repeats like that, and then it causes it to move. So like that's how the motor system works, and that's why you need like an electronic speed controller, so you time those coils firing off in the precise way. I only don't skip sponsorships that are on or Funny Noodle does good job. Yeah, exactly. It really depends. Not all the sponsorship spots are bad. I can live with them.
So the first test was definitely not optimal, because you have to keep a close eye on the applied voltage and current, the motor can get stuck, and it surely does not start on its own. But maybe using a small motor is not recommended, because in the video the creator was using a way bigger one, and there it started on its own. To try that though, I needed to convert a 3-wire BLDC motor of mine into a 4-wire type, which was certainly not easy because the individual coils were wrapped into one another, and thus I wasn't 100% sure which one was which. But in the end, I apparently assigned them all correctly, because the motors still work just fine with a commercial ESC.
Motor Gerber.
And that means it was time to hook it up to the DIY driver. Once again, first try at 9 volts. And yes, this motor also didn't start on its own. And pretty much the same problems as before do apply to it as well. Meaning it can definitely get a bit loaded, but it can also easily get stuck. So I tried one last 4-wire motor with this driver, and this time the motor actually started on its own. But that does not mean that the remaining problems magically disappeared. Now the reason for those problems and why the driver behaves a bit differently with every motor is of course its simplicity and how it works. As a reference, a commercial ESC utilizes a microcontroller to not only start spinning the motor by powering each coil in a specific order, but it also then monitors the induced voltages of the currently unpowered coil to get the exact moment right in which the driver has to switch to the next step. And that is called a feedback system, which can result in such beautiful motor voltages. Now the simple DIY ESC also comes with a feedback system, but a very dumbed down one. For example, here you can see that this gate voltage is only high, and thus this MOSFET on, when this drain features a high enough induced motor voltage, and this diode does not connect the gate to ground.
I know why, but seeing this motor reminds me of Bad Piggies.
Powered one after the other.
That sounds like a game I remember, but I don't remember as much. Darn.
That this all depends on raw, unprocessed voltages, which do vary from motor to motor. That is why some motors will start on their own, because the first current kick will induce a high enough voltage. And this raw voltage problem is also the reason why motors get stuck when the values get too low. So all in all, this circuit is more gimmick than anything else. And I didn't even start complaining about the way too high occurring voltage spikes.
Oh god, 88 volts.
Destroy your MOSFETs sooner or later. So please, do not connect such a circuit to a battery, and do not believe in any of those simple BLDC driver videos, because they all hide some information. But if you still want a cheap and simple ESC, then get this one from AliExpress. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed this
where you play as the pigs from Angry Birds,
and if you're still wondering,
oh, it's that game. Okay, now I remember.
Just as good / bad as with 4-wire ones, then let me tell you that I think that those two.
Wow, I haven't heard of that. I haven't thought about like anything in the Angry Birds series in so long.
For a long time. But anyway, as always, consider supporting me through Patreon to keep the show going.
Also, seeing the resistance just spark through that scares the shit out of me.
Stay creative.
Oh, why?
See you next time.
Oh, it's burnt. Like, that scares me. I was like, the episode was from Styropyro. I'm a little concerned.
Energy comes in all.
Whatever. Hold on. Okay, so this one is old computer tech. Not even that old either. It's from when is it? 14 years ago. So 2006. We're still in the early 2000s. Okay. This one is an incredibly wild-looking motherboard. It's called the Quadfather. Uh-oh. Load. Come on. You can do it, computer. There we go.
This is a complete and working AMD Quad FX system. But to better understand just what this is, why it exists, and why very few people know of the existence of this platform, we need to go back in time a bit.
Whoosh.
To be more precise, we need to go back to 2006, which was an interesting year for AMD. You see, for the past few years before that, AMD had been quite successful with their line of Athlon 64 and dual-core Athlon 64X2 CPUs, which competed against Intel's counterparts with the Pentium 4 and dual-core Pentium D. And now the Athlon 64X2, although more expensive compared to the Pentium D, was the faster chip and put Intel in a difficult position with their relatively lackluster net-burst CPUs. But all of that was to change in March 2006.
They're actually banger mobile. They are. It's just I haven't thought about them in
where Intel showed off the
ages.
Conroe architecture with the Core 2 Duo line of CPUs. These Core 2 Duo chips featured a completely overhauled architecture and were manufactured on 65 nanometers. In one go, they would take away AMD's leading position in performance and power efficiency. Even worse for AMD, Intel was to double down on that performance lead, as they also showed off Kensfield, the first consumer quad-core CPU, consisting of 2 Conroe dies, and they named it the Core 2 Quad. Now, at the time,
processors, let's go!
A year away from launching their own quad-core, based on their new K10 architecture. But for now, they couldn't just sit around and watch Intel beat them to the quad-core race. So they had to get creative and find a way to respond to Core 2 Quad. And that response came at the end of November 2006, less than a month after Intel released Core 2 Quad.
It's like, are you guys ready for a bad idea?
Pretty interesting. You see, AMD was still on 90 nanometers at the time, and their best CPU, the FX62, was a dual core at 2.8 GHz with a 125 watt TDP. Now, turning that into a quad core wouldn't have turned out very pretty. However, with some creative thinking, AMD went, well, why not give the consumer 2 dual cores instead? So they went into their newly released Socket F Opteron, grabbed the highest binned dual core Opterons, and created 3 new Athlons, the FX70, FX72, and then these, the King of the Hill 3 GHz FX74, the highest clocked dual-core Athlon at the time. Now these were LGA chips because they were just practically Opterons, unlike the PGA Athlons at the time for the consumers. But then AMD also needed a suitable dual-socket motherboard for this platform. And for that, they went to ASUS, who came up with this, the L1N64 SLI-WS Quadfather Megatasking motherboard.
Megatasking!
Now, it should be noted, in the early stages, this platform
was my favorite part of this thing.
X4 platform, but later it was changed and referred to as both the Quadfather and Quad FX platform.
Megatasking.
Well, this example is in truly exceptional shape, really. Everything is still like new. Some things have never been used. So first we'll do a bit of an unboxing, go over what is included, then the details of the motherboard, and then we'll set it up for Windows and do some gaming as well. Starting with the front of the box, and here we have a large image of the Quadfather smoking a cigar. On the bottom left we have the Athlon 64FX and NVIDIA SLI logos. On top there is the all-important Windows Vista support. And on the right that this board was meant for not just multitasking but megatasking, for getting even more things done at the same time. On the bottom we have the same L1 and 64 logo and yet again megatasking. Moving to the left side, and there's the mention of the quad father yet again. And on the right side there's the sticker for the model and serial number. On the back of the board we've got a nice image of the board detailing some of the features.
Megatasking. It's still really funny.
Actually open the front cover to reveal more information about the board.
It still continues to be funny.
Different kinds of logos. And on the right there is a list with more detailed information. But I'll go into more detail when I unbox the board. With the outer
12 SATA ports is kind of great. It still is nowadays, so yeah.
Starting with the two plastic cases for the FX74s and the protectors for the CPU sockets. Next we have some very unique stickers with the Athlon FX and SLI logo and DSDC, standing for Dual Socket Direct Connect Architecture.
Two stickers.
This Direct Connect architecture was a staple of AMD's Opteron line at the time. Unlike Intel's frontside bus, where the CPUs are connected via a central memory controller hub, with AMD's Direct Connect architecture and the Hypertransport System bus, multiple CPUs can be directly...
Yeah, and just start putting mega in front of normal shit, and it's funny. Yeah, it is like 12% funnier.
Quad FX. This is between two Athlon FXs, but in Opteron form this can be up to 4 sockets. Moving on to more stickers.
More stickers!
There are 2 silver Athlon 64 FX stickers, and a nice old school powered by ASUS.
I don't know why they have 2
then
stickers.
We have the driver DVD.
If you just really want to show off, I don't know.
Motherboard, including Windows Vista drivers. Next up is the user guide, which is quite thick and very comprehensive overall.
Ooh.
Then there are 2 sets of Molex to SATA power adapters and a total of 4 SATA cables, one of which is still unused. Moving on to 2 unused ASUS branded parallel ATA cables. Then, interestingly also still sealed, the front panel connectors. This board really must not have had a lot of use in its life.
No one touched it.
Also a standard brown-orange SLI bridge, and curiously not 1 but 2 I/O shields.
1 sticker for the...
Now,
yeah.
This is very cool.
The other sticker for the
There are
homies.
4
True.
still in their bags, special ASUS cooling fans for the South Bridge and VRM heatsinks. In total 3 are needed for this motherboard, but it's very cool to still see them in place, and the fact that there are 4 instead of just 3.
VRM coolers.
And lastly, a 4-port USB 2.0
And then-
extension for the back of the case. And with that,
Better than nothing, we get USB 2.0 ports too.
unbox the motherboard itself. Let's go over the board.
It's such a thick lad.
Starting with the PCIe situation.
He's also very wide
4
too.
PCI X16 slots. Now in 2006 this was very uncommon. 2 of those 4 slots are wired by X16 and 2 are wired by X8. There's also 1 PCI X1 slot and a legacy PCI slot. Now to make this all work, they brought in not 1 but 2 NVIDIA Enforce 688 SLI chips, which reside under this thick copper heatsink. Each of these are connected to an X16 and an X8 PCIe slot, and SLI and Crossfire are both supported. Also connected up to these are 12 SATA 2 3 gigabits a second ports, which was about double the amount offered on most high-end motherboards back then. It's also worth noting the unfortunate placement of the 24-pin power connector. Looking at the rear I/O, we find dual gigabit Ethernet, perhaps disappointingly only 4 USB 2 ports, a printer port, eSATA,
Again,
SPDIF and TOS-Link out,
like,
PS2 keyboard and mouse,
dual gigabit
and
Ethernet's
various
cool.
audio outs, and a microphone port.
Yo, is that a component
Moving on to
cable?
the memory, we have 4 slots.
I don't think it is, but I'm just like, huh?
total, 2 for each CPU. This platform has non-unified memory access, with both CPUs having their own memory controller. Like mentioned with the Direct Connect architecture,
Team, your
CPUs can
Knicks.
access each other's
Yeah.
RAM via the hypertransport link. Here we're running the maximum supported of 8 GB of dual channel in total, using 4 sticks of 2 GB Apacer DDR2 800 CL5. It's time to move up to the CPU area. With the coolers removed, we can have a look at both of the LGA sockets. In optimal form, these are called socket F, but for this platform they were known as socket 1207.
There's so many pins, man.
L1, hence the name of the motherboard L1N64. As mentioned in the intro, AMD created 3.
Imagine only one of those breaks and you're screwed.
FX70, then the 2.
It only takes like one.
72, and at the top of the range the 3 GHz FX74, all with 2 MB of L2 cache total and a 125 watt TDP. What was unique about these is that they were only sold in pairs, ranging from $599 for 2 FX70s, all the way up to $999 for 2 FX74s. And if we compare that to AMD's previous best,
so what? Remind me what the logic was behind making this. Extending the AM2 platform for against quad core. I don't know.
Became the fastest.
A little scared, honestly.
CPU available. As mentioned in the intro here, I've got 2 of the flagship FX74s for a total of 4 cores at 3 GHz at stock. Let's get them installed into the board. For now, we're running the stock cooler.
You're gonna give me pen bin. Listen.
They don't offer much for OC headroom. At the top of the board there's the VRM setup with 8 phases for each CPU, and each with their own copper heatsink.
16 phases.
It's time to get the special fans installed on all 3 heatsinks for the board. Now ASUS says that these should only be installed if you're running passive or water cooling to ensure stability. However, this board runs very, very well.
I love it. Just has radial fans on it.
Now it's just a matter of plugging in the 24-pin and EPS 8-pin connectors. For testing, I'm using this ASUS Matrix HD7970 Platinum I featured recently, and this should be plenty fast for this setup. Time to fire it up.
So without anything else, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 fans on this thing already. Seven fans. It already sounds like half a server room. Thing's so loud.
What I found surprising is just how easy the overall setup was. I simply installed the latest Windows 10 Professional via USB on a 120 gig SATA 3 SSD.
Oh shit, it
installed automatically and without any driver issue.
Where we're going, we don't need a case. Yeah, we're gonna go to an oven.
Here you're watching Windows 10 boot in real time.
Shit, it's actually loading.
And it reaches the desktop in 26 seconds.
Huh.
Here you can see it's running Windows 10 Professional 64-bit with dual Athlon 6.4 FX74s and 8 GB of installed memory. And here Task Manager is showing the 2 sockets, 4 cores and a total of 4 MB of L2 cache. And of course CPU Z. Now I did have to manually set the voltage in the BIOS at 1.375 volts. But other than that, it was pretty much ready to go. Going back to how easy the setup was, that was also the general impression I got from just regularly using the system.
It's working surprisingly well.
Shortly. In most scenarios it was still perfectly usable, and if, say, I was presented with this system not knowing how old it was, I probably would not have guessed from just using it that it was 14 years old already. As in most cases, it's still perfectly fine.
I mean, quad core now is like bare minimum of the modern time, right? Something like that.
And here the dual FX74s at 3 GHz come in at 256 points. Now that's not an awful lot for modern standards. AMD's current cheapest Athlon, the Athlon 200 GE, comes here at 360 points, with the 12-core Ryzen 9 3900X being over 12 times faster here.
Oh hey, the 3600X is over there.
We can really see the age of these CPUs, as a single-threaded score of 63 points isn't a whole lot. For comparison, the Athlon 200 GE scores about double that, and the high-end AMD Ryzen or Core i9 CPUs score more than triple the amount of points here. And now for the question of gaming. Here, running GTA 5 at 1080p with the normal preset.
It can game though,
it's
right?
It's surprisingly playable, hovering around 30 FPS most of the time, with actually quite reasonable frame times and few jarring frame time spikes. All 4 cores are utilized at around 100% most of the time. Overall, I would say QuadFX does deliver quite a playable experience in GTA 5, surprisingly. Next up, for something rather more challenging. Here we have Battlefield 1 32-player multiplayer running at 1080p with the low preset. Now here we can really see the CPU struggling, as
the GPU
can't be maintained.
The GPU is at 50 degrees centigrade. Oh no.
Like in GTA 5, all cores are maxed out most of the time here, and RAM usage is also over 5 GB. In intensive scenes it does drop below even 20 FPS, although it must be said it was pretty stable FPS wise and it didn't really have any major hiccups. However, considering that Battlefield 1 was released 10 years after QuadFX, if we keep that in mind, I would say it's actually quite impressive the way it runs it. And there we have it, the AMD QuadFX platform revisited in 2020. Now at the start of the video I asked 3 questions. What is it? Why does it exist? And now lastly, why don't we remember this? Why do we remember Core 2 Quad but not QuadFX? And the answer to that is pretty simple.
Intel?
And that performance just wasn't very good compared to Core 2 Quad.
Yeah, there we go.
In multi-threaded applications it managed to eke out a few wins, but overall Core 2 Quad was just faster.
Yeah, Intel still kicked ass at this point,
so... It had trouble just being faster than the old FX62, and the Core 2s, they were just off in the distance. Now, all of that wouldn't have been much of a problem if it was cheap, or at least cheaper than Core 2. But it wasn't. It was an expensive platform. You had 2 CPUs, you had a large motherboard. It was expensive. Especially when in 2007 Intel came out with a cheaper Core 2 Quad, the legendary Q6600. What also didn't help matters is that it consumed lots and lots of power. Compared to a Core 2 Quad Extreme, it used over 70% more power at load, and that just did not help matters. And as a result, this platform only ended up selling in very limited numbers, because unless you just really disliked Intel, there wasn't much point in buying a QuadFX. And that was a shame, because AMD had great plans for this platform. There would be new versions of it in the following years with 2 quad cores and DDR3. And of course there would be more motherboards for it, and there would be a CPU upgrade path for existing QuadFX users. In fact, in 2007 they announced the Fascinate, which was going to feature 2 Phenom quad-core processors for a total of 8 cores. However, later that same year it turned out that the 8-core Fascinate would not enter production, and that there likely wouldn't be a clear upgrade path for current QuadFX users either. In the end, the L1N64 SLI-WS would be the only board released, and the FX70, 72 and 74 would end up being the only CPUs. And with AMD out of the enthusiast dual-socket market, they then left the door wide open for Intel to come in. In 2007 they had already showed off their V8 platform, which would be 8 cores on a consumer or prosumer platform. And in 2008 they released it with Skulltrail. And that really was the end of QuadFX. I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you have, please leave a comment and a like. And if you want to keep kept up to date on future projects, why don't consider subscribing? Well, this was all for now, and bye bye.
Yeah, so it's, just a very subtle, slow video of it. I thought it was interesting, mainly because like what the hell, man? Like AMD was kind of desperate, and then it came back with a vengeance with Ryzen, and look where we are now, It's cool. So we're gonna mix it up a little bit. There's this other video that was posted. This is for languages. So why English should be called American? I wonder how this is gonna end up.
Seeing that you just clicked on the video, I'm assuming that you speak or are learning English. But have you ever wondered why we call the language English? What if I told you that it would make much more sense to call it American? Hundreds of years of British propaganda have led even some Americans to believe that the name of the language is English. But in this video, I'll explain to you why English should be called American. If you have an open mind, I encourage you to stay until the end of the video and seriously consider my arguments. The evidence is simply too strong to disagree with. Before you think I'm some stupid American patriot who knows nothing about the world, allow me to introduce myself.
My name is Language Simp. وأنا بتكلم العربي زي المصريين. Je parle français parfaitement. Hablo espanhol como si fuera de España. Eu falo português fluentemente. Я говорю по-русски как носитель языка, and я snack Smolensk. Now that I've proved that I'm not a monolingual beta like 99% of Europeans, let's get down to business.
Polyglot, let's go.
I'll be referring to the language as
Holy
American
crap
for the rest of the video. Also, I'll use the words Britain and England interchangeably because there is no real difference between the two of them. To start, let me admit that the American language technically did begin in England, but that doesn't mean anything. England should be disqualified from having the right to the name of the language. England has the most vile, disgusting past of any country in the world, even worse than Belgium.
Anyway, the Queen of England died yesterday. Oh no.
100 years ago, Britain decided to start ruthlessly colonizing the entire world, from Australia to India to the country of Africa, the Americas, and everywhere in between.
Not even small, insignificant.
The country of Africa? Hold up.
Islands were spared. In these colonies, the British spread the American language all across the globe, but at the same time, they were terrorizing the native people.
The Brits turned entire people groups into slaves.
Here we go.
Great atrocities. If you have young children listening, turn up the volume now. They need to hear this.
Reports claim that the British
I feel like this is a huge shitpost.
And burnt people who opposed their tyranny. They blew people from cannons and even ran concentration camps. They starved the Irish. They made money by making the Chinese addicted to their dangerous drugs, and they stole precious resources from the country of Africa. I hope it's now clear why we shouldn't name a language after them.
So how did this language get so popular? Well, it certainly didn't get popular from these maniac colonizers forcing people to use it instead of their own native languages.
Fortunately, out of the horrific plague of British colonization, a special country was born, a country that was unlike any other country the world had ever seen.
One beautiful day in 1776, the United States of America declared independence and then defeated the British in the easiest war of all time, sending them crying back home to wherever Europe is.
Over the next
This is a shitpost, isn't it?
The United States became the most influential and bestest country to ever exist. Have
bestest
you ever wondered
country.
Why American
Let's
is
go.
the default language of the world? American is the default language of the world because America is the default country that every other country in the universe looks to as a role model. Most people would literally die to have a chance to move to America. Therefore, literally billions of
This is
people
clearly a
study the
shitpost at this point.
in order to increase their chances of one day making it to the promised land.
These people study American from America, not British American from England, so why would we call the language English?
These learners quickly become obsessed with the
Also, the British History Museum is 99% stolen shit.
honestly don't blame
Absolutely.
them. Most foreigners are experts on American culture, and I can prove it.
If you ask a random person from Uzbekistan who Boris Johnson or Piers Morgan is, they're going to be very confused. But if you walk up to that same person and ask them who Donald Trump or LeBron James is, they're going to light up with excitement.
The United States is simply the most bestest country. We have the highest GDP, the largest military, the most firearms, and the highest incarceration rate in the world. We have safe and effective schools, great urban planning, amazing food, honest politicians, healthy work culture, and anyone here can enjoy the best healthcare system as long as they have a lot of money.
America
there it
also has true liberty. When I was in England, I was shocked that I couldn't buy high-powered assault weapons at Walmart. In fact, I don't think I saw one Walmart the entire time that I was in all of Europe.
I think that the best country that speaks a given language has the right to name it. So in this case, English should be called American.
It's for this same reason that Spanish should be called Mexican and Dutch should be called Belgian.
Another important factor in this debate is the difference between the dialect spoken in England versus in the United States. To show you what I mean, listen to this computer-generated text-to-speech tool speaking the American dialect.
Hello, my friend. What are you up to?
Now listen to the English dialect.
Alright, you fucking bloody wanker. What you think you're doing? You got a license for that, fam?
I couldn't even understand a single thing that the man said.
The British use words that don't even exist in standard American, so can we really even say that they're speaking the same language?
For example, British people call French fries chips, but they call chips crisps. They call soccer football, and they don't even watch real football. The only dialect of American that truly makes sense is the American dialect, and therefore the language should be called American. Now it's time that we take action. Stop calling the language English today and start calling it American.
This is America, and we speak American here.
I love that he has the lazy eye too. That was very important.
Seeing that you just
I'm just looking through the rest of these and I'm just like, I can't criticize the video because like I can't criticize it because I'm like, my brain's like, default language of the world, China, Chinese. My brain's too smart that I can think of I can think of counterpoints to a clearly satirical thing, even though I know it's clearly satirical. Because I just think too hard on a normal basis. I think too hard on a normal basis every day and kill every joke. Basically. Because my brain was just thinking like, I don't know, man, the default language of the world is honestly maybe Chinese. Or any other language in the accepted in the United Nations, which is what? English, Spanish, Chinese, Russian, and I don't remember the rest. And yeah, English is the most common second language. Well, yeah, because everyone wants to do that, because English is commerce, right? Hindi is pretty commonly spoken. No, I was trying to think about the languages that were used in the United Nations. Which ones are those? I don't remember which ones are those. Because I know they exist. And I accidentally closed my doc. I accidentally closed the doc for chat. There it is. Also, hello, Nogitsune. Hello. Alright, let's go on to the another video. Let's see here. This one was an arcade restoration video. Yes, I like this one. Mainly also because it had one of my favorite arcade games of all time, which is Cruisin' World. English, Mandarin, and Hindi. Where is Arabic in there? Arabic's top 10. No, I mean, top 5, honestly. Hold on. I'm gonna ask the search. I'm gonna ask the search engine. What are the languages spoken by the United Nations? Why is it using that default microphone? Hold on. What are the languages spoken by the United Nations?
According to the United Nations, there are 6 official languages of the UN. These are Arabic, Chinese, English, French, Russian, and Spanish.
French? Really? Okay, sure. Okay, video about the thing, about my favorite video game. One of my favorites.
How am I gonna get out? Ooh.
Yes, now.
Oh no.
France almost had as many colonies as England. Oh. Oh, really? Okay.
Are you ready to cruise across the world? Well, there's only one way to do it.
That's also
a massive sit-down arcade racing machine. I had to get it. No other way. None. It's the only way you can do it. Mm-hmm. Yep. True story. You're stuck. Cruisin' World, the sequel to Cruisin' USA. From Midway and Nintendo? They had a little publishing agreement as Cruisin' made its way to the Nintendo 64, and the arcade hardware was built from Ultra 64 hardware.
Only on Nintendo Ultra 64.
Really, it was just Midway V-Unit arcade system boards, but I'm not going to talk about that. I'm not even half an expert about arcade machines, possibly only 1/16th an expert on arcade machines. Cruisin' World took the over-the-top arcade action of USA and added more courses, more cars, and introduced turbo boosts and stunts.
It was the best arcade game.
We can't enjoy that high-octane
It was fun.
until this machine makes it to the Game Dave game room. I mean, it's here, but look, we gotta go. Let's rewind a little bit.
All right. Tomorrow at 10:30, it's gonna come through there. It's going there, hopefully. Ooh, boy. He said it will be, I showed him the measurements of the door, and he said we'll have about a 1/4 inch on each side because it's so wide. It'll definitely fit there, but that's gonna be tight.
Facebook Marketplace strikes again, and surprise, it's the same guy I got the Double Dragon / Mortal Kombat / no, I haven't converted it back yet machine from. The Cruisin' Cab itself worked, though, you know, it wouldn't be a Game Dave arcade video without some restoration. Needed some cosmetic fixes, the force feedback was not functioning, had some lights out, some gunk spiders.
Oh, hi, Spider.
Ooh.
Spider. Oh, it's still got a CRT. Yeah, that's the cool part, too.
All right. Okay. Oh, God. Oh, God. Where is it? Oh, God.
But first, I gotta get this thing in my basement, like it is now. Oh, crap.
Are we gonna die? What do you think?
Today's the day we die, boys.
Yeah, boy.
I don't know if this is gonna work. Here we go. This is a lot bigger than a little old Taito cabinet. Can my sliding glass door handle the power?
Arcade restoration. Honestly, restoration videos, like the good ones, maybe one of my favorite genres on YouTube. Because, I mean, you guys seen me. I like fixing things. Fixing things are fun. So.
Alright, so.
That costs you all about $55 an hour.
Well, it only took 10 minutes, so it's really just a Happy Meal.
I'm happy with the Happy Meal right now. I'm hungry.
Thank the sweet Lord JC Jumbo Cactuar, the machine is in. Thanks, boys. Now, I know what you're thinking. What's that pinball machine over there? Ignore the pinball machine. Ignore it. So once the machine was... Stop looking at the pinball machine!
Oh.
I had some help getting the cabinet in prime position for cleaning. It's not safe, but...
This kid's son is very valid. Look at him go.
Oh, I'm strong.
Excellent parenting. Excellent parenting content.
Yep.
Advisory ahead. Look how good he is.
You helping me? Alright, that's good. Thank you for the help.
I'm strong.
You're so strong. Thanks. Thanks, son. Got some
S-class
rusty parts,
parenting, dude.
missing bolts, a coin door lock bar that's no longer needed. The plastic is full of DNA, especially that steering wheel, I would imagine. But that shifter feels nice. I need to attack the exterior dust. Flower power. Look at that top. Layers and layers of dust on this old gal.
Gross.
Gotta bust out my little dust buster. Wipe all those little crevasses. Now, let's look inside. The rear. Whoo-hoo. The
Butt joke.
interior of this thing is a lot more complicated than my other cabinets. Aside from that pinball machine. Stop!
Oh, I want to look at the pinball machine.
Dustbuster returns. Also, what is this dangling little fella here? Oh boy. Oh boy. The boards looked fine, aside from the disconnection on the back. I should probably make sure nothing got rustled too intensely during transport. Fingers crossed. Count me down. 1,
2, 3, turn it off.
Dun.
It's okay. It's starting up. Did it scare you?
No, we have money.
Good. Sweet relief. She turns on. Looking at the front of the machine, it needs some work from top to bottom, or bottom to top. I have a sneaking suspicion this bad boy used to be at a beach arcade. The floor is full of sand, among other dirt and debris, scraping gunk for quite a while down here. And look at the rust on those pedals. Come on! I'm gonna end up with fair condition on my Kelly Blue Book value. It wasn't perfect, but with some meticulous sanding, the pedals improved quite a bit.
Those need to be like sandblasted to clean.
Gave it a gentleman's
Like,
microfiber wipe down,
Like oof.
but I still needed to break it down. Lucky for me, nearly every bolt was a security bit with a little hole. Great. A solid excuse to pick up a new set of Torx bits. The steering wheel only had one bolt left on it, so at least we are saving time. I tested out a little bottle shaking vinegar action to remove some rust from all the bolts once they were taken out. It worked okay, but I still needed to replace some of the bolts with fresh ones, especially on that steering wheel. Don't need that thing flying off during intense gameplay. Now back to the cleaning. After scraping off a bunch more gunk from the view button panel, I decided to remove it from the cabinet. It had a not so nice crack under view 1.
Aww.
Address that, which I did with Gorilla Glue.
Oh.
It's solid now, and you can barely see the crack, just like when I pull my pants up. The view 2 button was not working. Kept getting stuck and did not function in the game. Oh, and none of the buttons were illuminating. After some struggles, I thought maybe I'll just get spare replacement buttons. Brand new, fresh. So I began searching, and these view buttons look different than the ones on my cabinet. Are we in a Double Dragon to Mortal Kombat conversion situation yet again? Well, getting deep, all up in them arcade guts, I found the old identification tag, and there it was. Hyperdrive. I never even heard of Hyperdrive until right now. It was a futuristic hover ship racing game, F-Zero-esque, complete with a flight yoke for steering.
It honestly kind of looks
It made for
cool.
an easy conversion too, because it's
Although
just another Midway game.
it does look kind of weirdly
Hyperdrive
jank.
was released in 1998, 2 years after Cruisin' World.
I was kidding in my
Well,
previous
that's odd,
comment.
converting a newer game
Oh, that's okay.
back into an older one.
I got you, man.
Well, rumor has it Hyperdrive did not do so well in the arcades, and the reviews of it I found online say it's pretty boring to play. And Midway offered Cruisin' World conversion kits, specifically for Hyperdrive. And continuing my journey down the rumor mill, Hyperdrive flopped so bad, the kits may have been given away for free. So Hyperdrive may be pretty uncommon. Now, I won't be reverting back, but it's cool to know the history. And I was able to find new old stock spare parts for hyperdrive. Though ultimately I had success fixing the stuff I had. Messed with the wiring and the springs and disassembled the buttons, and I got the lights working. Except the bulb in view 2. That button was not having it. She gone, needs to be swapped. I even removed the steering wheel and decided to sand down that dirty, dirty surface rust. Even took off the dash, and hey, look at that sticker. That's not for cruising, it's for hyperdrive.
So that tells me this is obviously not a cruising. For a bruising.
How did I miss that earlier? I'm gonna leave it for the memories. After putting the dashboard back together in the wrong order, oops, just do it again. There we go.
I'm surprised all it needs is just like that. I guess it's just for the
Look at this big stupid metal
yoke
security bar
adjustment.
they added to really keep people from jimmying the locks. No one will steal these quarters, and considering a number of them have been forced / squished into the old slot.
Hey, at least you got a couple
seems like
coins
they're
out of
just
it.
Itching
Maybe.
to give this arcade some money.
Does that
Of
count?
course, we open up the coin deposit and, all right. After cutting myself a few times, I did manage to cleanly remove the big honkin' security bars and replace the bolts to avoid seeing those holes. Nobody wants to see your hole. Put your holes away. Now, to the marquee. This one needed some work, so I very carefully removed it and gave it that good Windex treatment. Oh, yeah. The marquee actually had some sun damage on the print, but it cleaned up nice enough to where it worked. Had some goo to scrape, some cobwebs to dust bust, and oh no, the bulb is dead. Of course it is.
You're dead. You're dead.
Off to the hardware store where I picked up an LED replacement. It'll last forever, right? Should point. Oh! Oh, that's bright. Oh, it's bright. It was pretty bright. Hard to tell what it looks like in person because it just loves being overexposed. And you don't want us exposing ourselves. Side
It's
note,
so bright.
I haven't said it enough before. Moving this thing by yourself is not easy. Scratch that. Moving.
I'm actually scared about the fact that he's doing it without shoes.
Is not easy.
And I'm like, dude,
Probably
those
gonna lift
toes.
so hard I'd poop my pants. Pooping them. Just forced out, heavy lifting, bench pressing dumps.
That is a mood, though.
My back. Oh, still hurts a little bit. It's not quite there. Lift with your legs. I know. I'm sorry. I need to sit down. But I haven't even worked on the seat yet. My biggest issue with it, aside from its dirty, dirty bottom... Wait. Is that gum? Who chewed gum and specifically placed it inside the bottom of the cabinet? How would you even get in there? You'd have to take the seat off to get... Okay. I'm not going to try to understand it. Moving on. The chair slide mechanism wasn't working properly either. When I first drove over to test the thing out, it would slide back and forth but would not lock into place. The original owner, Jeff, mentioned that it likely just needs a spring to fix the issue. Okay, cool. But it seemed locked down, wasn't moving at all now. So I had to take it apart, security bolt by security bolt. And now that I could see everything. Yeah, I couldn't get the plate off on top all the way, so I just did some rotatification to look at what I was dealing with, and no spring at all, not even a broken one. But also, it wasn't really gripping properly, hence why it stopped sliding. I was able to get the rails to slide eventually, and I did find a brand new spring. Now, another issue with the seat were these fairly deep scratches.
This next part I thought was interesting.
1996. So you know those 90s kids with their wallets attached to giant chains and their keys outside their pants like janitors? They were scratching this thing up. Somebody went a little further and scratched, what is that? FTP onto the back of the seat? What could that mean? Force the padlock, face the pillow, fart the poop. I tried the old handy-dandy Mr. Clean Magic erasers to shave it down a bit. No luck. Didn't want to completely destroy the finish, but those scratches gotta go. Now, this may be controversial, but I recalled seeing a video of someone using a heat gun on their plastic dashboard to remove surface scratches. There are many videos of people using blow torches to restore plastic finishes, which really breaks it down over time, and it's a temporary fix.
This part is
But I just wanna
actually
remove
just kind of
scratches.
legitimately
Gave
just
the
kind of
heat
wild.
gun a try.
Like what? Like look at
Warning,
this.
Again, I'm not an expert. And overall, darn if it did not work.
It just
really
went.
good
It just goes away. Like what?
I'm super happy with those results. Now, I had no intention of fixing the force feedback right away. The game is perfectly playable as is without the wheel pushing back against you, but I just wanted to figure it out. It could be any number of things though. The main board, the steering controller board, potentiometers, the belts, the motor itself. That's a lot for someone who doesn't know what he's doing. But remember, that little dangler hanging next to the steering controller board? Let's plug it in. Let's see what happens. Oh, shit. All right.
I honestly just hope it kind of does work, but bleh.
Well, it's doing something. So there you go. The motor has power, but it does not have the power to work properly. Or maybe not power, but not the proper data or information to work properly. Jeff mentioned it could be the steering controller board, so I started looking. Had to get the correct model, but most of the affordable replacements I found were untested. Descriptions like, board looks good, no way of testing. So do I take a chance? Do I? I did. And here's what happened.
Whew. Well, here we go.
It's steering normally.
I don't know. I guess not. Ooh, smooth. Wait, did I do it? Did that work? Oh my god, did I fix it? Ooh. I feel something. I feel something. Let's see if it'll settle. Oh my god.
The wheelings? I feel the same way when I broke my Joy-Con, honestly.
I went into the diagnostics menu, I calibrated, tested, the motor was working. I was satisfied with the work I'd done, and it was time to put the thing into position, attach the seat, and play the freaking game. Hey, remember when I said how heavy it was for little old me by myself? Hoo-hoo! Oh yeah! Oh, just take all this in real quick. Oh my god. Is it rolling? I can't tell if it's rolling! Oh! Oh!
I don't even...
Oh my god! Jeez! Louise!
His screaming is valid.
Louise! Oh no! How am I gonna get out? Come on, baby! We're there! Oh! 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 Oh!
That's an OSHA violation. I mean, yeah, but also, he ain't at home. He ain't at work.
After plugging in the power and trying
It's not an OSHA violation if you're not at work.
Cruising! Cruising the world! Cruising the world! It was finished. So exciting to have my first ever racing arcade machine. Cruising World. It's a fun sequel to the original USA. It's cool to go to Egypt and Japan, China, New York, you know, around the world. You can even race on the Great Wall, friends. You gotta have it. You can run into other cars ridiculously, slam into animals which explode.
They turn into
No,
meat.
not the kangaroos! The N64 version, they don't explode. And not at all. Censored. And you can double tap the accelerator to do wheelies and those stunts to get an extra speed boost. It's one of my favorites, along with Daytona USA, but I don't think I'll ever see that machine. Never say never, though. It's been such a fun learning experience, messing with these old arcade machines. It's stressful, but you get in there, you accomplish something with your hands. Almost like I'm a real man. So what does the future hold for my little arcade setup? I have that Mortal Kombat to revert back to Double Dragon. I've got all the stuff. And don't even get me started on that pinball machine. That's another story entirely. I said back in the Mortal Kombat video, this was a slippery slope I'm on, and yes, it's getting steeper. So remember, stay digitally distracted.
Honestly, I found his channel after just clicking out of like just kind of just passively, because I'm like, oh, Cruisin' World. I love Cruisin' World. And then that came up and it was good. Okay. Last video, because it is, I know it's a bit late and people need to go to sleep, especially me who needs to go to sleep. So last video is from our good friend Techmoan on the YouTube, and it's about, what is it about? Oh, being weird and shaving a compact disc. Let's get it started. Shaving a compact disc for better sound quality.
Bit of time browsing online looking for unusual
I think.
audio equipment to feature on this channel. Now, it was during one of these online searches a few years ago that I first clapped my eyes on one of these things. Now, at first glance, I thought that this was some kind of unusual compact disc player. Well, I was kind of halfway there. It isn't a compact disc player, but it does use compact discs. Well, when I say use, I mean shave.
Shave.
Let me give you the sales pitch. Okay, so here's the manufacturer's official page. It's been retrieved via the Wayback Machine. There are a few dodgy German to English translations on here, so I'm going to have to reword a few sections for clarity, but you can read the originals on the screen. It goes like this. Light reflections disrupt the sound. Even high-end equipment for the highest of demands is powerless against light scatter in CDs.
This one has been in my recommended for a while. It honestly did pop off, so like, yeah, understandable. It is a very interesting story though.
Production, the sound.
It is. It's really weird.
Transparency.
Honestly,
the beam diffusion cannot be avoided by error correction. Okay, so that's the problem. Now here's the solution. In exhaustive tests, biochemist Dr. Eric Schrott and engineer Wolfgang Schneider have looked for ways to eliminate the reflections. They've found an amazingly simple yet highly effective tuning method. They bevel the CD's outer edge, which works as a trap for the light scatter, and then an added black colouring is applied to the edge, which absorbs additional misrouted laser light, and they found that a beveled edge angle of 36 degrees brings audibly the best results. Tuning with the CD Sound Improver perfects the true running of music CDs, data CDs, DVDs and SACDs, and the CD player's drive doesn't vibrate as it did before. They even go on to say DVD films generally impress via sharper images. Yeah, so the idea is that by using this, you can shave the edge of a compact disc to a 36-degree angle, and by doing that, you improve its sound quality. Okay, well, let's just park that idea to one side
somehow,
for a moment, and I'll show you how this
works.
Right, so here it is. It's got a lid on the top. Around the back, there's a place where you can put a vacuum hose.
Does it work? How does it work?
I
don't know.
Shavings that come off the CD edge. Power input.
It does, from a first glance, though, seem immensely stupid. But we'll find out.
Here's our on-off switch and speed control. Just look for the turntable spinning there. belt driven. There's our cutting blade, and that is brought in towards the edge of the disc.
It sounds like a placebo.
Spinning to cut
Maybe, who knows?
6-degree angle. Now I'm going to demonstrate it on a CDR. So first off, take this off, take that part off there. Both of these have a soft coating on the inside. The disc is put with the label downwards. That then goes back on the top. This then tightens up. Just
A placebo at best, a scam at
now, the
worst.
reason we've got
Yeah.
this lid is because when we start cutting the disc, there'll be bits of plastic come off and they could go everywhere, so this just contains them. Because of all these reflections, it's better if I lift the lid. I'll vacuum everything up afterwards. So I'll just show you a close-up now of the blade. So it's just going to come in like that on the edge of the disc, and it should cut this 36-degree angle into the plastic, which in theory reduces light scatter. Okay, right, so turning it on, maximum speed, bringing it in. Right, so you can see all the stuff that's come off there. Now the next stage is to colour in the edge of the disc to stop the light scattering.
You get a Sharpie,
This thing originally came with a marker pen.
I guess.
I don't have that. I do have the paintbrush that came with it though, but I don't have the original marker pen. However, I believe a Sharpie should work just fine, although, you know, who knows. So what we can do here at this point, the reason we've got this adjustable speed, we can just
See,
have
it's
this
so weird. It's just like, oh, now you just run a Sharpie across
and we
it.
can mark
Like,
the edge of this with the Sharpie. At least that's
Like-
the idea. Now, I've seen some people
You
just
know.
take the marker pen like
Uh-huh.
this and use these holes on the top just to spin it around manually. But either way, that's our disc done. And now, in theory, this disc should be better than it was before. And just for comparison, on the left, this is a CDR from the same batch that hasn't been treated. And on the right, this is the one that I've just put through the machine. You've
looks
seen how it's operated
not
and what it does
different.
on the edge of a compact disc. Now, as with anything that's aimed at the high-end audiophile community, these things weren't cheap. Back in 2003, they cost the equivalent of around about $500 US. But that didn't stop them from flying off the shelves. Apparently, they sold loads of these things, and that's no doubt been helped by all the positive reviews they were getting. Now, some of those reviews can still be found online, so let's have a look at them. Well, first off, it was
500.
Hi-Fi Plus
Oh, here we go.
of the year in 2000.
High fidelity.
It was being sold in the UK for
Hi-Fi go, homies.
£50. Now, I'm going to pick out a few key phrases from these various.
They're saying the funny words.
Starting with this one, they state that after a CD has been treated by the system, that music becomes cleaner, clearer, and better focused, with greater separation of instruments and a greater sense of space around them. Now, that's in the awards summary. In the original
Squint.
review, they stated that it makes your CD sound more like real music, with sound stages that all of a sudden become deep and wide. Focus and control of instruments improve greatly, and the solidity of images is tremendously enhanced. So they definitely liked it. Now, Tech Radar did too.
Again,
Gave it 5 out of 5 stars.
Big doubt is happening
The
right
system
now.
clearly have a wider
High amounts of doubt.
thanks to a lowered noise floor, and that bass is better defined and more punchy, while the treble has more air. And to finish off, here are some other statements and claims that I've found about the device online: that it brings a reduction in glare and hardness associated with CD sound, that the device, once it's treated a disc, the disc can be read more accurately, employing less error correction, and the sound becomes clearer and more transparent, and that music is more three-dimensional and open with greater transparency, and images from DVDs were sharper and clearer too. And finally, it results in pronounced improvement in focus, transient attack, detail and transparency. Okay, now
And if anyone's wondering,
going into this with the thought that this thing,
all of this is wild.
Insane. How could it possibly improve the sound of a compact disc by beveling off the edge of it? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to me. But there's all these reviews where people are swearing blind that it sounds better when a CD's been treated.
These claims are wild, man.
CD. And they're saying that hundreds of people in various different tests all agree. So they can't all be wrong, surely. I mean, let's try and put some science to this. Well, a compact disc...
What if they're all wrong?
4 million bits per second, I believe, come through one of these things. And I think 75% of those are like the stuff you should be listening to. And then there's 25% like error correction. And the idea is the way that these things all sort of hinge on this error correction and the fact that if a compact disc can't be properly read for some reason, then the error correction is called into play. So if it's contaminated in some way, you got fingerprints, you got scratches on it, the laser can't read the data, and it just kind of makes it up. Now, that's what I'm not saying this is what I've read in all these different things. This is what people are hinging a lot of these things on. And they're saying that if your CD wasn't quite perfectly cut out, and I've had some CDs in the past that felt really quite uneven.
Oh, whoops, I forgot. I forgot to put it on
in your CD
full screen.
player.
My bad.
The laser would have difficulty reading the data because it has to follow it around, and the error correction is called into play more often. So this thing trues your CD. It takes it all down perfectly all the way around. So not only is this 36-degree angle there, but also your CD's now perfectly round. Now the 36-degree thing, well, that's supposed to be something to do with laser light scatter.
Math.
And somehow it shines out the edge of here and reflects back. And again, the laser has difficulty seeing the disc through all this reflective laser light. And by cutting this to a certain angle, the laser light doesn't get back to the laser, and of course you're putting that black marker around the outside, and therefore we're not calling into use this error correction all the time, so we're hearing the proper sound that you should be listening to. That's the theory. I mean, I can understand in a way where some of that is coming from, or at least it kind of sounds plausible. I mean, we've all seen what happens when you try and fix something with error correction or restoration, and it doesn't really do a very good job of it. Okay, so for argument's sake, I'm just going to have to go along with this idea. Let's just, for the moment, I'm a believer that this thing is a device that can improve the sound quality of your CDs by shaving off the edge of it. After all, there's hundreds of people that are swearing blind that this thing will make your CDs sound better. So they can't all be completely delusional, can they? Well, let me try and find out for myself. I'm going to get a CD, we're going to put it in here, and we're going to treat it. They call it tuning your CD. So we're going to tune a CD in here, then we're going to have an identical CD. I'm going to compare the two and see if I can hear any difference between them. Of course, I won't be able to. Let's keep an open mind. Okay, so to perform this test, I've bought 2 of the same CD, still sealed in the plastic wrap at the moment.
At some point, this does almost sound like weirdly delusional,
Title is
right?
recommended in some lists of...
Is that just me? Because like it sounds wild.
Starting off with a bad quality recording because it's never going to sound good. So we might as well start off with a good one and hopefully make it better. So let's have a go. I suppose if everything goes wrong, at least I'll have one of these CDs that I can play when it's all over and done with. There has been some concern raised about the idea of cutting the edge of a CD might lead to future failure. The layers could separate. The sandwich of different layers in here, of course, are currently sealed in with the plastic, but by cutting the edge, you do risk the chance of damaging the structure of the disc, although people seem to have had these for years after they've treated them and they haven't reported any issues, so maybe it's not something to be concerned about. Right, let's have a go. Okay, now this is a good point for me to mention. You might have noticed these are actually hybrid SACDs I've got here. Bit of a bargain, only cost me £8.50.
Also, I feel bad for the CDs in this.
A hybrid SACD is a CD.
Also, yes, I do often feel bad for inanimate objects. That's just kind of like how that's weirdly my brand on things.
Can still improve those issues. At least that's what they claim, so it doesn't make any difference. Okay, well that's that one done, so let's just take this off and have a listen. I'll just pop it to one side though, because I've got to get the other one out of the packet so I can do a proper comparison. So officially now, this one shouldn't sound as good as the other one. Of course I can determine which one I'm playing because I can see it just looking at the edge of them. That one's got a silver edge and that one's got a black edge. So I'm not going to mix them up. Okay, for the comparison I'm using this CD player and we'll just see if the CD text comes up first. This is the disc that I treated. So yeah, that's showing up on the screen there. I do have this album on vinyl, but this is the first time I bought it on compact disc.
Yo, I feel bad for inanimate. I feel bad for many inanimate objects. It happens often.
I should probably listen to the untreated one first.
That's why I ask people to take care of their computers.
And see if I notice.
Otherwise, I'd feel bad.
So let me get my headphones and I'll get on with that. Okay, so here's the best headphones that I've got in the house, the Fidelio X2s. I'm going to plug them in here and I'm going to listen to the first track and the last track on the CD. As CDs are read from the inside out, the first track's the one furthest away from the edge that I've cut, and of course the last track is towards the outside. There's a total of 7 tracks on this disc, so I'll be listening to tracks 1 and 7. I'm going to get on with that now. Okay, well, not entirely unexpectedly, both discs sounded the same to me. I even tried putting them in the 2 different disk drives and jumping back and forth between them and then swapping them over, trying it the other way around, but they just sounded identical, whatever I did. I didn't notice anything that was better or worse from one compared to the other. But of course, there are too many points of failure in this test. I mean, the first one is my ears. Would I be able to...
Same hurts when you drop damage. Yeah.
Even on the very best quality of equipment.
You just like drop it and you're like, ow, or whatever.
As well. Then what about this thing? Has it got a really poor digital to analog converter? Is the headphone amplifier rubbish? I mean,
I feel all of it.
You could point out and say, well, the discs do sound very much different to one another. It's just your equipment and ears, they're not picking up on it. So let me try and take out as many points of failure of this test as I can, and we'll do something different. Right, so this is the best thing that I can come up with the equipment that I've got. By the way, these aren't on a scratchy surface. This is nice and soft, so I'm not damaging the discs. But both discs there, and I'm going to record both of them into my PCM recorder. Now this has an optical input on the side there.
I also do appreciate how technical he's being with this
output, and I've only got
I'd say whatever you call like the analysis for this.
An optical output on the back there, and I'm going to take the audio from that.
The CD shaver is just copium. Yeah, no, it very much seems like copium.
So what we're getting here is we're getting the digital.
Is that what we're calling?
So we're not doing any.
Is that what we're going to be calling? Whatchamacallit?
Into this device, and then we're just going to record it as a PCM WAV file. And I'm going to record both.
It's what we're calling audio file hopes and dreams now. It's copium.
Put the files into Audacity.
I know copium seems like a very
both of those files
powerful element. It's been used in so many things.
Now I'm sure someone can point out flaws in this test, but honestly, it's the best thing that I think I can come up with what I've got here. So again, I think we'll just record the one track. I might as well record the last one here, because that's the one nearest to this edge. So if anything's getting affected by light scatter and goodness knows what else, it would be track 7. So I'm going to go for that one. Okay, so I've copied my 2 recordings, one for each disc, across into the computer. And to make things easier, I'm going to give them more memorable names. Treated for the shaved disc and original for the untouched one. Now the next thing to do is to load both of those files into the Audacity audio tool and then get them into the same workspace and try to get them to line up perfectly. Now the reason for this is that I want the software to compare one against the other, and it'll only do that properly if they're completely perfectly lined up. If one is ever so slightly ahead of the other by the tiniest of margins, the software is going to determine that they're 2 different things completely. So there's probably...
I honestly thought that all of this was just very, again, very just interesting.
For the first peak and then erase the silence or quite a bit before then, and then try and get everything just to line up on that first peak on both of those recordings. Now, once I've got them perfectly lined up, which does take a bit of time, I can pick one of those and use the invert tool on it. And as it suggests, this has now created what is effectively the opposite of what was there before. So now we've got one normal recording and one inverted recording. So now if I merge those two together, one recording against the other, and create a third track from the results, that third track, that's going to be the audible difference between those two CDs. As you can see, the result of doing this is a completely
So you can't possibly get it misconstrued or anything,
difference between
right?
the two recordings. The track when it's played from the treated disc sounds exactly the same as the original untreated disc. Now, just to show what happens when there is a difference between the two, I'm going to snip out a couple of seconds from the second recording, around about 2 minutes 24. And then I'm going to do that same thing I did just then, which is merging the two recordings into a new track. And as you can see, the results here, they show silence up to the edit point. So up to the point the tracks there are identical. But after that, they're then different from one another, hence the waveform that's shown along the bottom of the screen. Now, if that demonstration wasn't visual enough, here's another way of showing the difference between two tracks. This is a spectrogram that's been produced by an open source piece of software called Sound Exchange. This image reflects what the ear does. It shows energy amongst frequencies as it varies over time. So this is what track 7 on the Dave Brubeck CD looks like when viewed this way. So the yellowy peaks are the louder sections. And just for interest, as comparison, here's a modern track off another CD. That shows how the levels have really been boosted here and brick-walled up to the top. Right, so now we know what music looks like, or should look like. Let's go back to the software and compare the recordings that are made from the treated and untreated Brubeck CDs. And this is what you get. Nothing. Showing that there is no difference. There's nothing here, and therefore there's nothing to him.
Whoa, who would have thought?
Earlier on, when I said
It's literally the same thing.
I wasn't saying that there definitely won't be a difference. I mean, I suspected there
Literally the same thing.
I wouldn't be able to hear it, I thought, because my ears aren't the best in the world. My hearing, I'm getting on, I don't have golden ears. All these things that people were talking about in those reviews about transient attacks and transparency of treble and stuff. I mean, it's all just over the top of my head. To me, things I've mentioned before, they either sound all right or they don't. I mean, if a CD's skipping and jumping, I can spot that, but to me, one CD would sound the same as another one. I wanted to put it into a computer to see for sure if there was a difference. And I was really hoping there would be, because it would make it a lot easier on me. You see, now I'm incurring the wrath of the audiophile community by saying that there is no difference. I mean, I've got one audio file off one CD, one audio file recorded off another CD, compared them, and they're identical. Do an inverse of one, compare it to the other one, the difference is complete silence. There's no difference. I mean, you can't hear any difference. That's the thing. It's silence. So all this, I can hear more bass and the noise floor's lower and all that kind of stuff. Well, surely that would show up because it's audio. You can't hear what isn't in
Who's
the
that?
form.
Princess Quinn, hello everybody.
Here.
Hold on, I need to pause the thing. Welcome everybody. For those who are just joining us, my name of course is Alma Hexblade, head guildmaster, chief barista over here. Welcome. Pull up a seat. We are just kind of wrapping up for today actually. And just for you guys, we'll watch a new thing. I love your new avatar. Absolutely. I love it too. Thank you so much. Let's see here. So we were just on the tail end of watching a video about basically like, a weird audio file thing, like weird tech item that kind of appeared at some point. And, and it was basically like, it's bad. It was bad, as you can see. Oh, Snumnecky, thank you for the follow. Enjoy your complimentary cup of coffee and have a wonderful rest of your evening, all right? And, if anyone's wondering what's going on, I'm actually playing Splatoon. So let's wrap it up for the rest of this video, and we can move on to maybe another one.
I didn't just
If I have one though. So if anyone has any, like, I don't know,
because the other
what's the word?
Identical. The only other CD that I had where I had a duplicate copy was this Candy Apple Blue CD. That's because they sent me 2 of them. I don't normally have 2 of a CD, you see. So
If anyone has any, what the word might be. Oh, you tossed. Yeah, no, you tossed around like 2 of them, right? Yeah.
Off both of them, same method as before, over the optical cable into the PCM recorder. Compare both of them before, and they were identical.
Pring, you got something for us?
So that
Awesome.
kind of makes me think, well, what's all this business about some CDs?
Cool.
Should
Did you post it in chat or no? Or not in chat? You know what I mean?
They sounded the same
in Discord.
Before.
We'll watch one more.
Sounded CDs, which is what I'd expect CDs. I just think a CD will sound like a CD. And of course, they were identical after treatment as well, which isn't entirely unexpected. I mean, for me, a CD is is data in a way that's in a state of either being on or off. Each of those bits is either on or off. It's just like a light switch. Bit of data, no bit of data. These things are kind of relying on there being some kind of middle ground where
I'm going to quickly just
kind of corrupt somehow. But when you get
check the other thing, and we'll get to it. Hold on.
You get dropouts, you get clicks.
But yeah, basically, it was kind of not correct. I don't know the word to pull it. You know. Let's post them. Pring, you are a person after my own heart. It's from Scruffy. Absolutely. We got it. Okay. This one's good. I promise there's no spookies. And there's a timestamp on it. I will skip it though. So here's what we're going to do. This video is about Five Nights at Freddy's, and not in like a wild theory video. This is about the audio in particular, because Scruffy is a YouTuber who does a lot of audio stuff. So this one was the title: How Audio Enhances the Horror of Five Nights at Freddy's. I believe I've seen this one, so I might not have a lot of commentary for you guys, but it's still a good watch. So I'll let you guys leave it to it and enjoy.
The following video regards a horror game, and it will feature some jump scare sounds and overall creepiness.
Spooky noise.
Hello. I'm Scruffy, and today we'll be talking about Five Nights at Freddy's, an indie horror game that has shaken up the genre and become a worldwide phenomenon,
Starting from a single developer with a small budget. And in light of that developer, Scott Cawthon, supporting developers of Five Nights at Freddy's fan games, and also because Halloween is coming up soon, I'd like to take an analytical look at the ways sound has made this game so compelling and spooky. I'll only be touching on the first game for now, and I won't be addressing the lore of the game much since there are still so many mysteries about it.
Big lore.
Now, it's been plenty established that Five Nights at Freddy's is, or was, frightening, if you haven't played it before. And small wonder, it capitalizes on a broad discomfort with animatronics, robots that fall right in the uncanny valley, too humanoid to be a cartoon, but moving too mechanically to pass for something living. But even more than that, you are trapped in a single spot, the security office of a pizzeria.
I love how it's just titled You.
Move where they aren't supposed to.
That sure is me.
Looking, but are coming for you specifically. It is a nightmare scenario, built off of 2 pillars.
What can I say? I always have bangers. We have the same video interests, and I think that's why we have bangers. So that's the cool part.
To fight or flee. Now, if this were actually a nightmare, those 2 would perpetuate until we wake up in a cold sweat. But since this is a game, and there is a win condition, some of these pillars have to be sacrificed to allow the player a chance to think under pressure and win over their stress. And this is where developers like Scott turn to visual signals and audio clues to dole out some control. I say clues because while a map of the pizzeria and camera feeds of the animatronics are clearly helpful visuals, it's more complicated when it comes to audio. Some audio works to your advantage, giving you information, and some audio works against you, muddying information, creating unknowns, and even contributing to the absence of action feeling. Let's break down each of these, starting with the advantageous audio. That is, any audio that helps you form a plan and figure out how to survive. In a scenario with absence of action, you are desperate for information like this. Although at first, nothing you hear seems advantageous. It all starts out unknown, which is yet more stressful. It's only after you spend some time in this environment and listen for patterns that you start to pick up where advantages lie. And the sound files of FNAF confirm this line of thinking. For instance, there are 4 different sounds for pots, pans, and oven doors clanging about. Must be important, especially when you can hear these sounds even without using the camera system. Initially, this sound is a stressor, but eventually you can pick up that the sound is louder when you look at the kitchen camera, which only has an audio feed. And then you pick up that Chica, the chicken animatronic, is nowhere else to be found. So all along, this sound was actually trying to help you understand that Chica is currently in the kitchen, and going forward you can determine that without using the camera, saving you some power. Not every advantage in the game has an audio clue, but the ones that do are well designed. Another one you'll hear...
Audio cues in games are good, honestly.
New room. There are 3 versions of this sound. Again, this can be heard on camera or off, so initially it sounds like some otherworldly threat is just laughing at you. But eventually, with enough camera usage, you can tie Freddy's movements to his laughter. In fact, Freddy's difficult to see on camera, and you've got to conserve power anyway, so for some players, it could be easier to
tiny
count
dots
the times Freddy laughs to indicate how close he is to the office. The audio may be unnerving, but since it forms a pattern in an otherwise unpredictable environment, it's advantageous. Now, there's other audio that forms patterns but doesn't give you an advantage. These are just good old sound effects, scored directly to what happens on screen. There are the sounds of the camera feed failing when an animatronic you're watching suddenly moves. There's the sound of Foxy running down the hall to indicate you have a very limited window of time to save yourself. And the sound of him banging on the door.
No one's home.
Sounds are consistent with their actions, but the player never really picks up help from them. They're mainly to immerse you more in the environment. And you'll notice most of them are diegetic. That is, most of them are sounds that the in-game world would be making. There is one sound...
Man, the word diegetic is so good.
However, and that's an audio stinger when Chica or Bonnie appear right in your doorway.
Da-da.
That sound is not manufactured by a camera or machinery, and I don't think it's meant to come from Bonnie or Chica. It's more of a classic horror music cue that makes you jump a little more at something sudden. A stinger. In fact, I think it's extended technique on a string instrument slowed down 100%. Here it is sped up. I'm not sure about that. The little sounds at the very end remind me of handling a violin, but suffice it to say, it is non-diegetic music rather than an in-game sound. These sounds don't help or harm you, they just make the world more real, direct, and intense.
Immersive.
And now, we get to audio that's special for
immersion.
Audio that's actively trying to scare you, or even working against the information and actions you have. Let's unpack the different ways audio can deter you from beating this nightmare. First, we have what I'm calling muddied information, audio that isn't clear or that blocks other audio signals. For instance, the cameras make haphazard static noises when they experience interference, or when you can hear one panning back and forth. The little bit of audio coming from camera feed is also garbled. You know, it's put through a couple of audio filters to simulate a poor transmission of sound energy. So all in all, you hear very little straight from the source. Plus, there are other sounds getting in the way. The loudest distraction by design is the fan in your office. This remains on for the entire night, buzzing incessantly. And here, let me clarify something. I mentioned in a previous video about Animal Crossing New Horizons that having some non-zero sound ambiance actually makes an environment calmer than one with total silence. However, if that ambiance is loud enough that it's harder to pick up audio patterns that matter more, it can become stressful all over again. The fan does quiet down when you're focusing on the camera, but that's using up power. So there's definitely an exchange of sacrifices between you and the game here. The more information you are allowed, the more power you use up. And the more you conserve your power, the more information is obfuscated behind filters, distance, and noise. And then here is the truly devious part. Hidden beneath the noise of that blaring desk fan are not only the sounds that impart information, but other sounds that don't, and are either meant to confuse you or just scare you more. Sounds like this strange swirling noise.
Spooky.
Doesn't really signify anything other than a creepy atmosphere that can't be identified. Same with these even subtler noises. They're just barely audible under the fan, but this sound in particular is resonant enough that you can discern it. Your ear just can't make out any details, and thus it's another potential stressor. This time, though, you don't pick up any pattern or advantage from it. It's just sometimes there, conveying some vaguely metallic sound far in the distance. Other red herrings fit a bit more specifically in the location of a children's pizzeria. Sometimes you'll hear this room recording of a pipe organ, internally called circus.
I'm here to be spooky, and really, that's it.
A festive little jingle like this feels right at home in a kid's pizzeria or an arcade, although it's juxtaposed with the nightmarish scenario.
Except we're going to die
It's not giving you any real information, it's just getting you that much more stressed. Same with the song Foxy will occasionally sing, internally called Pirate Song 2. You can hear both that and circus anywhere in the game, and this one specifically can be traced to Foxy's stage, but it doesn't signal anything about Foxy's erratic behavior. It's misleading clues mixed in with the legitimate ones. One more misleading clue interestingly begins as a legitimate one. At the start of each night, you receive a previously recorded phone call from another
Don't diss the
employee
pipe organ.
who has been dubbed
It's spooky, but it's like valid.
His call on the first night sets the scene, tells you how you're in danger, and what actions you have to keep animatronics at bay. He keeps things vague, partly because he doesn't know all there is to know about animatronics, and partly because he's skating around the suggestion of mortal peril to try and keep you from quitting. But as the nights progress, you realize that the animatronics will start moving even while this call goes on, and the call itself gives you less and less advantageous information.
I didn't realize this part about the game, and that's kind of fucked and kind of funny.
And sometimes gives you suggestions that aren't actually helpful. For example, during night 3, he advises the player to sit still and try and play dead once Freddy is outside the office. Yet doing so actually has no effect. These phone calls become serious red herrings. They directly speak distracting information to you, and the sound of the phone call interrupts other important sounds, like Freddy laughing. What initially seems like your only lifeline in this scenario has become yet another problem.
Now, the last category of detrimental audio isn't necessarily messing with your ability to parse other sounds. These are sound effects that make you feel like you're dealing with a supernatural threat. I gave the following sound effects as
vaguely vocal
because they're a lesson in themselves for crafting horror game sounds. The slightest hint of language in an otherwise corrupted, garbled sound. It's like there's information or threats hidden in a message to you, but not only is the message not in any discernible language, but it also doesn't sound like the messenger is human at all. Scott gives the animatronics in all his games humanoid sound effects, mainly because they've been possessed, but also so that the animatronics can appear to attempt communicating with you, and it just comes off as alarming supernatural wrath. Here's a sound you'll hear when Bonnie or Chica are right at the corner of your office staring sidelong at you from the camera while their heads twitch. This only happens after night 3, when you've been with them for a while, so it seems to convey the animatronic's aggression ramping up. But why are they making a sound so reminiscent of backwards human speech? Is there a message encoded in there? Why does it sound so off? If we players had the time to answer these questions we ask, we'd figure out that it is a recording of a person reading an excerpt from Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramhansa Yogananda.
With the format tuned down. Similar to
So, not
animatronics
helpful.
going in the visual uncanny valley, sounds like these go in an audio uncanny valley, where they're definitely closer to language than any other sound in this library, but they're too distorted for you to recognize who made the words or what they mean. These vaguely vocal sounds are littered throughout FNAF 1, from quick flickering hallucinations to Night 5's phone call, which is another garbled, lowered passage from Autobiography of a Yogi, talking about how marvelous mechanisms will make lives easier in future generations. Freddy's laughs also count as vaguely vocal sounds. They are slowed down versions of a child laughing. And if Bonnie or Chica are already in your office, but you have the camera up to avoid them, they'll make their presence known with these labored breathing noises. There are 4 of these sounds, and unlike most of the sounds in the game,
Why are they like this? They're just like,
close mic
hello?
Since Doom is right in front of you at that point. And on that note, let's talk about more endgame sounds, beginning with losing the game by letting animatronics get into your office. Before you hear any right in front of you, you might
Death
first
noises.
test the light button and find it no longer works. Ordinarily, the light gives out a harsh electric hum when you turn it on, and it flickers. The sound is not consistent. When you first test this light, the sound and flickering combined immediately demonstrate absence of action. They make you think, this shoddy little light bulb is my last line of defense? Of course, as it is one of the few actions you can perform, you immediately miss it, and tension spikes up when you suddenly hear this short, curt sound instead. Presuming you can't hide in the cameras long enough, you're about to get the infamous Five Nights at Freddy's jump scare, the sound for which I'll be playing in 3, 2, 1. Yeah.
That's what it sounds like to
It's
me.
pretty well known at this point that this is a cut-off, overdriven sound of a child yelling. Which fits the lore behind the game, and again, is just vocal enough. If you're unlucky enough to encounter Golden Freddy, this sound is slowed down 100%. No natural comforting sounds to be found here, but it is a big sudden release of tension. The difference between that and winning the game is that in winning the game you get laudatory sounds of chimes and children cheering, which are finally close and resonant sounds free of heavy distortion and garbling. And then, in comedic fashion, those celebratory sounds get truncated by silence as the next night begins. The final endgame condition is using up all your power, which shuts everything off with this long descending drone. I'd say there is cold comfort here. It's a release of tension from checking cameras and shutting doors constantly. Like, there's less information to worry about not having. But there's also total absence of action. All you can do is wait for whichever comes first. Freddy's blood-curdling scream or the jubilant chimes of 6 a.m. After this first stage of just you and the drone, we get the second stage, where Freddy shows up at the door and plays his tune, the refrain of an aria commonly called the Toreador March from the opera Carmen by Georges Bizet, and played in a music box, once again juxtaposing the sound of childish play and lullaby with impending supernatural death. The refrain itself is fitting. It describes the Toreador, the bullfighter who dreams both of the bull's eyes watching them and the love that awaits them if they succeed. Good metaphor for this moment, only to be cut off again by the final stage. Total silence, total darkness, no more information, no more action, no more...
Just silence, and then death.
It's stressful, right? I'm not going to play a jump scare here. I'm just showing how a little silence goes a long way. All of these sounds go a long way. They perform functions beyond just a scary atmosphere. They deal in the information and agency with which the player controls the game. FNAF 1 doesn't solely rely on sounds to create its atmosphere or to play with the player. The sounds are rather a supplement to everything else. The animatronics don't make any noise on camera, and they still prove scary enough just to look at, especially when they stare right back at you. But then the sounds as they approach the office enhance the experience, supporting the frightening visuals with unsettling and unnatural voices and noise. It's not the only way to craft a horror game soundtrack, but it's a token of playing to audio's strengths, and that is how Five Nights at Freddy's turns a nightmare into a game. I'd like to thank my friend Wolfgang for helping me put together this script, and I'd like to thank my supporters on Patreon. If you'd like to vote on what music I arrange, get behind-the-scenes looks at my productions, and join my Discord server, you can become a patron using...
So yeah, I think that's all for now, unfortunately. Scruffy does very good videos. Honestly, he does a lot of audio stuff, and honestly, if you want to subscribe, I feel like you should. So, that should be all for today's stream, unfortunately. Thank you guys for tuning in, and thank you, of course, to Quinn for the raid. Let's see who we can send you guys over to. And, let's see here. Let's see if there's anyone up in Adam this evening. OMG! Oh, I know. We're raiding Tane. Tane is a wonderful succubus friend of mine. She is currently playing Final Fantasy XIV, and if you guys don't know, she's currently doing uncapped subathon. She's been at it for, I believe, a month so far, so good for her. No message or anything, just be nice, of course. And thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you guys save before you go and have a wonderful one, alright? Bye now. Also, yes, her subathon's still going. It's been 30 days. Alright, and we're gonna do the sending in 3, 2, 1.